Hello and welcome everyone to Don't Worry, Just Paint. I'm Josh Sterrett and this is...
Hill. Hill from Family Wirings. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so Hill is going to be the instructor for Don't Worry, Just Paint, and we're going to start from the basics today. So to give you a quick rundown of what we're doing today on this live stream class is Hill is going to teach me how to cut off the seam lines or the mold lines of this miniature. Hill's also going to show me how to bend this back using cold water and the hot and cold water method. I have cold water waiting from last night. We are going to show you, he's going to show me and us, if you're watching out there today, how to correctly cut the mold lines from resin miniatures, such as these guys here, from metal miniatures, which for me I think is a bit terrifying, and from pre-primed miniatures. And we're going to be working on the Flying Ray for that one. Now, for this class, we are going to be painting the Nolzer WizKids Frost Giant. So if you'd like to join along with us and paint miniatures with us, then go ahead and find your Nolzer's Frost Giant at your friendly local gaming store, or you can always buy it online. This is an incredible miniature, a lot of details. I absolutely love this miniature. So I would recommend buying that so you can come and join us in this class. All right, now let's go ahead and begin. And I'm going to readjust this camera.
Yeah, that's right. And we're preparing already the tools. We're going to use all kind of tools, regular ones, which we can get most of our homes have these tools. In a craft store, we can get some of those. Also, I'm gonna show you the brushes. I have something here, and we're talking about we're gonna talk about some professional tools also for the cleaning of these miniatures. Of course, it depends on the quality of your tools. The cheap ones are gonna be wasted pretty soon. The professional ones are not really the best all the time. Of course, they're made for this kind of craft. But the truth is that they're so nice or so fine that they're only for the details, for the real good details. So we're gonna show you how to do it. I think we all have one of these razor blades. I'm gonna show it right here. This is from a popular label here in Mexico. I don't know, outside of Mexico. This is a Trooper. I have the big one and the small one, so we're gonna try with these ones. You can get an Exacto here in Mexico or a Hobby Knife. I'm gonna show it on the camera. Just let me get it right here. I guess I have it in a delay. Yeah, that's right. Clippers. We have these ones, current clippers, also from the Trooper label here in Mexico. These are normally made for cutting wire for electrical stuff. Okay, we have the professional ones. These, as you can see, are a little bit, how do you call it? Plain or tiny. This is exactly, and I'm gonna show you how to cut this is exactly for this kind of models, and I'm gonna show you just in a while how to cut properly a miniature from Citadel Games Workshop. We also have some files, all kind of it. Indeed, Josh got for himself one of these kits. This is a complete hobby knife kit. This is pretty handy because you can make almost all kind of cuts, and we're gonna try to work on this kind of miniatures also. So yeah.
Okay.
So which one do you want to start?
Well, as you were saying, so we're going to be learning how to get these mold lines cut off. That's the biggest thing, and
Yep.
the thing that actually that I hate about cutting miniatures. I'm hoping that Hill here can show me how to do it so it's actually fun or interesting or makes me want to paint or worry about it. I know some people don't even worry about them, but they drive me crazy. So, which one would you recommend starting with to start out with learning how to cut off? I know a lot of people are buying pre-primed miniatures these days because I think they are pretty detailed. However, for some people, they told me that the metal miniatures are even more detailed. So I'm not sure. I'm going to put this girl here.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and shoot. What should we start with? Let's start with.
Okay, I think we're gonna start just.
What do you recommend? Yeah, I have
We're
no
gonna start
idea.
with the giant, not for the cleaning stuff. We're gonna try to show them how to unbend that axe, and we're gonna let it rest.
Okay.
So it.
Do
so
I
it-
boil the water?
Okay, no, do not worry. If this.
Should I boil water to do that?
No,
Well, how hot does the water have to be to bend?
it doesn't have to be boiling, but it has to be hot water indeed. And the cold water, you don't have to. It's not have to. It doesn't have to be icy cold, but it has to be just cold. It's kind of like template metal when you're making a forge.
Let me go get that hot water.
Yeah, it will be for coffee. It will be perfect, and it has to be in a bowl or in a cup, big enough to drown it. And we're only putting down the weapon. In this case, this axe. I'm gonna show it to you. This is a pretty good miniature. The problem with this one, it's only this axe. Okay, here it is. From this side you can see it's cool and okay, but if I turn it around, you can see this bending. And this is what we want to avoid on our miniatures. This is perfectly correctable. We can fix it up. We're gonna do it right now. And we're gonna talk about the mold lines. I'm gonna look for one of those here. These miniatures are so cool because they are pre-primed, as just said. The problem with these ones is kind of like this. I'm gonna try to show to you the mold line under the arm. Yeah, that's it. I guess you get it there. Yeah, that's it. And I don't know if with this camera you can see this line. I'm gonna touch it. Because of the shadows we cannot see it quite well. I'm gonna move this light over here so you can see it. And perhaps you can see it now. I'm gonna move the miniature. That's it. You can see it there. This is the mold line. And this is the problem with these miniatures. They're so nice that we sometimes forget that they also have these mold lines. I'm gonna move it so you can look at it just because of the shadow it projects. Yes, I guess you can see it now. Yeah, that's right. Touching it.
All right, here is our cold water, and I have a hot water coming from the coffee right now.
Yeah, okay, that's nice. Yeah, you wanna work on that? And so yeah, there's a problem with this kind of miniatures. We're gonna try to do this first, to let it rest. Only for that. We're gonna let it rest. You may wonder why is he taking the miniature so close to his face? Well, because these mold lines sometimes are so tiny that we miss them.
The water is a little colored because it was in the coffee pot.
That's okay.
Hopefully it won't stain the miniature.
No, it's not okay. And we're gonna, it's
Let's go ahead
Unwashable.
and show them what this looks like.
okay. Josh is gonna help me with the camera so you all can see that. I'm just gonna draw this little piece and I'm gonna let it
Which
down.
piece are you doing? The axe, right?
Only the X. I already showed them how does it look, where is it bent. We want to get it melt round.
How long do you have to put it in there? Just a few moments?
Yeah, in this case, you can see how easily
Let's go ahead and
this
show it
gets.
here.
Thank you. Yeah,
Your
that's
finger?
that's right.
Oh,
And we're
all I
gonna
can see is your
see.
finger. Let's see where it looks like.
Okay, there it goes. I'm correcting the X. You can see it there. It's pretty soft. It only took about 5 seconds, 10 seconds under the water.
Okay.
And now I'm handling it just like this, and I'm gonna pour it on the cold water.
All right. Go ahead and move your hand here so the camera can see.
Okay.
This hand, move that one if you can.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. Now we can
Well,
see that.
Now I'm moving my hand because of the camera. Normally I wouldn't be in front of the camera, and I will hold this the same way that
Okay.
I used it here. Normally I go the same way into the cold water, and I'm gonna hold it, of course. And as you can see, the axe is already fixed. We're gonna show it on Josh's camera.
All right.
And yeah, this is already straight. Now, the reason that why I did this before or earlier today is that sometimes these miniatures recover or get the first shape they had. So we're gonna let it rest for a while, and it may recover the shape that it had. And
Hopefully.
perhaps we would like to correct it again. So that's why we did it first.
How often?
So now we wait to dry, and we're gonna work on the other stuff.
How often do we need to do this? Check the miniatures like that.
Every time, because every time you get a new miniature, this is not because of the quality. Sometimes this is only because of the packing. And that's it.
Packaging. Okay.
The packaging, sir. Sorry, yeah, thanks. So you have to be sure that your miniatures are already set. I just broke this one. I'm gonna show you how it is packed.
We're going to be using this one here, I think.
Yeah.
I see what
yeah,
you're doing. You're showing the sword.
Yeah, I'm showing the sword only, so you can see how it is bent. It's a new miniature. This hasn't been opened, so you can see how the sword is all bent.
So if I just tried to bend it back without the water, what would happen? To
For the
metal?
resin or plastic, it will break apart, or you're gonna get it deformed. So you don't want that. For this kind of metal miniatures, this is easier. They can take a little bit more than the resin ones. The plastic ones normally are some flexible, and you can almost get it fixed. The problem is that they get marked. I'm gonna show you with some plastic later on. And for the resin is so rigid that it breaks apart. It's kind of like soft crystal, let's call it that way. So the resin just gets crystallized, and the moment that you take it, you can see how this gets so crystallized that you can break it apart. For example, in this case, for this head of this miniature, you can see it has little details.
Yeah, one second. Let
It's
me go ahead and
not-
get that camera for you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I'm looking at the jaw here. It's so detailed that it has its fangs out. If you try to move one of those fangs, it's gonna break apart because of the reason it's so rigid that it doesn't allow you to. But it will be fixed with hot water.
Reaper miniatures, though, I've noticed with Reaper miniatures. Let me go ahead and move this mouse. I've
Oh,
noticed
yeah.
with Reaper miniatures that actually you can flex them without a problem. For example, I have here a Reaper miniature of a priestess.
Yeah.
And her ear is also going to need to be rebent, but it just bends back and forth without breaking. However, it always goes back to the shape it was bent out of proportion. So, how many times would I need to dip this in hot and cold water to get it to fix?
As many as you need, and there's no
There's no rule?
There's no rule. Indeed, that's what we're gonna do with that axe, with the first giant axe. Indeed, if you noticed, I lit it, lift it a little bit toward the giant. We're gonna correct that, but we have to wait until it's cold dry to fix it again. Just to show you that there is no rule, there is no a number of times that you have to put it down. For the Reaper miniatures, also I want to add to what you were saying. This is bones from Reaper, is that right?
That's a Reaper, yep.
Yep. The line of bones from Reaper are popular because they are almost unbreakable. Indeed, they have the. They show you the test. They throw it to the ground. They bend it over, and they are almost unbreakable. And that's pretty nice because of Reaper, but they have a little issue. They repel the primer. You cannot use oil primer on them because they repel it.
They repel oil primer. So
Oil primer, yeah.
what would
that's
an
right.
oil primer? Would this be an oil primer
Yeah,
right here?
no, that would be acrylic primer. Acrylic primer is water-based primer that you can use. And if you use primer from a can, like this Tamiya, which is pretty cool, it's one of the best primers you can get on the market, out on the market, it's not gonna attach to the miniature. That's one
Oh,
of the
really?
good and bad things about bones from Reaper. That material is not gonna take it. Yeah, it's gonna.
Is it going to melt?
Yeah. Indeed.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah.
it's not gonna melt the miniature. Sorry, but it's just not gonna attach to it. It's not. It's gonna.
So it's just going to be sticky or something like that, and
For a while, and afterwards you're gonna paint on it, and
it's going
it's
to come
not
back
good.
up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
that sounds fun.
Yeah, yeah. That. Please don't do that. Just let me sip from this coffee.
Yes, coffee. Everybody,
nice.
one thing I've learned really quickly, if you have coffee,
Oh,
make sure
yeah.
you put it in a colored cup that says coffee or something like that and keep it to the side because oftentimes you'll have a couple different cups in front of you. I have a cup here for rinsing my paintbrushes. I have this cup here for watering down or creating a mix of watering down my paint, thinning my paint with water. I use a syringe to, let me get this back here. I use a syringe to make sure I can control how many drops of water I put into my paint. Now, it's so easy to dip your paintbrushes into your cup, but when you're thirsty, you're painting, you're not thinking, and you can often just grab your coffee cup. So I put mine, well, in a big J cup, because I'm Josh, haha. And that really helps to make sure you don't end up having a really bad day.
Indeed, it happens all the time. So just yeah, you have to. Sometimes you get so into it that you just forget about things. So
So
yeah,
let's
I
get
recommend
started.
to get this away.
Metal miniatures?
Okay, yeah.
Or should we go with the resin? Or should we go for the pre-primed? Which one should we try to take the mold lines off first?
We're gonna take the pre-prime because that will be easier somehow, and
Okay.
it's already out. So in your camera, can you show try to show them about the mold lines that you
Sure.
can find there?
So here's the mold lines on this guy. Let me go ahead and get a nice view. Now, the one thing I don't like about these guys here is that, there we go. Scary, holy crap. I have tried to drink my brush water and yeah, it definitely is not the best.
No, not at all.
It really, really sucks when that happens.
Indeed, it doesn't. It's harmless. It's just not tasty. that's it. Because some people doesn't know the acrylic paints. If you're painting models, normally we use acrylic paint. This is harmless. It has all kind of stuff or chemicals preventing from kids to drink it or eat it.
Here we go.
So you don't have to worry about it.
So you can see this seam line or this mold line goes along the ear,
Mm-hmm.
up along the head and down the back, and also along the wings.
And
Now, this isn't so troublesome. There's one
Uh-huh.
here too as well on the tail.
Yeah.
This isn't so troublesome as all because it's on the edges, but sometimes it'll go over, like say, the head or the face of a miniature. And when that happens, well, for me, I've always had trouble with just cutting big chunks of hair out
Okay.
or things like that. So hopefully you can show us how to smooth it, maybe with different materials.
Okay.
Because I tried the knife, and the knife is I cut myself all the bloody time, and I guess I'm doing it wrong. Also, I noticed here, if you look at this miniature here, this often happens. You'll have gaps.
Yeah.
And we have a special thing. You can fill these gaps. This is something you might not be able to get in the U.S. This is here in Mexico, but it's epoxy resin. So epoxy resin has two components.
Yes.
You have the clay, and then you have this part of the clay. You mix it together, and it becomes quite hard. You can use a little tiny bit, and you can fill in those gaps, or even you can create custom miniatures by creating, well, you can sculpt whatever you want onto that miniature, and it will become part of that miniature. It'll harden and become part of that miniature. We might have to use a little tiny bit of this to fix up the top of the head of this miniature, because once you paint this guy, he's going to get really well, everything, all the seam lines, all the mold lines, and any gaps will really come out, especially when you start getting the shadows done on the miniature.
That right? And yeah, do not worry. Yeah, we're gonna we can use the epoxy resin to fill up the gaps. We're gonna work on that too. And do not worry. It depends on the tools that you're using. We have to tell them also that we started this because of the role-playing games. These pre-primed miniatures are think for that kind of games. Normally, you take your miniature, your player. Sometimes you don't care really about the details. You just want your character set and ready for playing. There I am. Okay, that's the one. Yeah. Okay. So do not worry. We recommend to do all this stuff to get even better results for your miniatures to be painted. Normally, yeah, you can go straight to get those painted, but if this is your character, we can invest a little bit more of time to get it better, to look really cool, to look like we are thinking of it. So let's gonna start with that one.
So I think what he's trying to say is pretty much there's two different styles of painting. There's tabletop painting and showcase painting. Me,
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to always try to make my miniature look as nice as possible. But the reason why there is a different style is because oftentimes, when you're on the tabletop, if you maybe you spent like hours and hours doing every detail of your miniature, make sure the highlights and the shadows were spot on, and then in comes your player with greasy fingers and chips, and dropping your miniatures, touching your miniature with greasy fingers, which is a big taboo in the table usually, but it often happens because, well, you play with people and people are excited about the game. They want to touch and feel the miniatures.
Indeed.
Myself, if I can, I want to make sure none of my miniatures ever have mold lines. I hate them. Absolutely hate them. So for me, I want it to look as natural as possible, at least when it comes to the mold lines, so that they don't stand out when I'm painting.
Indeed, sometimes pretty good paint job gets ruined by some mold lines, and some of the techniques even show them up, and you regret not taking them out. So with that one, we're gonna start. I think you're gonna start with that one.
So
I'm gonna provide these tools for the beginning, and you're gonna start with the hobby knight. The big one, well, the medium one, the one that you already have there, and also the brush. Yeah.
what's the first step when you open the box of the miniature and you want to start painting it? What do you do with your miniatures?
Normally, for a professional thing to do, you wash them.
Do you need to wash them even if they come out of the box?
It depends. For that ones that are already pre-primed, you don't have to wash them. Why do you wash? Why do some people tell you to wash your miniatures? Because To make them, to produce them, you put them in a mold, and to take them out of the mold, there's some chemicals, or kind of like grease, something like that,
Okay.
to take them out of the mold, so they don't get attached or stick to the
So
mold.
kind of like Vaseline almost.
Almost, or something, some kind of chemicals like that. The problem is that they don't wash normally. They wash them, but not pretty good, because they have to pack them and send them to the stores. So sometimes, especially on the resins, on the plastic models, you can feel them a little bit greasy. When that happens, you have to wash them. You don't have to go to the laundry or something like that. No, it's just a little soapy water. You just drown them, shake them out there, and take them out, and just wash the excess. That will be it. Wait for them to get dry, and that will be it.
Okay, so the water. Does it matter what temperature the water is?
No.
Should it be soapy water, regular water?
Soapy water, soapy cold water.
Soapy cold water. Okay.
Yeah,
Should I
that would
prepare
be
some of that? Do we need to wash any of these
No,
miniatures?
no, because we already checked on this. You can feel it. It's not greasy at all.
How about the Reaper miniatures?
No, it's okay.
She's been sitting on my shelf for a while now.
No, it's okay. Do not worry. You can feel them. In this case, this is okay. You can feel this a little bit greasy, but it is not grease. It's just the softness of the miniature, and it's and this is pretty dry. So do not worry. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. So this is not grease. It's only the softness of the miniature. You can see it all on the legs, and this is okay. Some people get confused. They think for these miniatures of Reaper, the bones ones that we talked about before, they think they're greasy or they have all that compound. But no, this is because they see that they reject the primer, and that's because of the material they're made of. I see you have already a brush. That's a pretty good one for the, but that will be for the beginning.
I use a crafting brush I got this in a set for crafting, pretty much for crafting clay projects and making brushes, but I use this to clean out dirt that ever gets, maybe like, sometimes I store my miniatures on a shelf that doesn't have glass. So I notice sometimes, or when it's plain, it's on the table and I haven't had a chance to paint, but I used it. There's grease, or not grease, dirt, or just
dirt, so
little
dust.
filaments that start
Mhm.
filling in the cracks, and I really don't like those there, because for me, I want to be able to show those lines without having some nasty particles or food or something like that stuck in there. So I always try to give my miniatures a little brush down to make sure that they're as clear and as possible.
Okay. Also, one of the things that you mentioned, some people ask about why do my miniatures get always dusty? Why do they are always dirty? That's because they're made of plastic or resin, and that produces electrostatic energy. So they are kind of like dust magnets. Yeah, you can see the detail on that.
Yes, I'm censoring it. We're a family friendly
Yeah,
show.
yeah. This is a fabulous kitchen. Oh, sorry. So we're not gonna paint the Amazon dream. Okay, well, not the Amazon now.
All right. So, anyways, this is I really like this miniature because she has a lot of really cool details, like this spider here that I was going to try to show you guys. She's a spider right over here on her chest, and then also, if you can't see it, sorry about my nails, they are horrible. If you can see here, she also has these like little jewelry lines on her belly. That's going to be a lot of fun for me to paint.
Indeed.
All right,
Okay.
let's get started and do this thing.
Okay. So you're gonna start with the primed.
Okay.
Okay. You
I'm
already
going
got
to
it?
grab my knife.
Your
Do you
hobby
use a knife for,
Yeah.
for the filing, or do you use something else?
It depends. That's what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna start. Meanwhile, you're starting with that one. I'm gonna start with this kit. This is a Citadel for Warhammer. This is the
Okay. Well,
Plasma Regulators.
let's stick to the pre-prime because I have several pre-primed already.
Meanwhile, you're doing that, I'm gonna cut this so I can show them because this kind of
okay.
stuff comes into a sprue, and also we have to clean that up because this has a lot of mold details, of mold lines that we can work.
Alright, make sure you're in the camera when you're doing this so they can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, Josh prepares the miniature on all the tools. We're gonna give him some files. The hobby knife that he already has.
Do you need to switch cameras? Is that going to be better for you?
No, it's okay, okay. Yeah, they can see me there.
It's just kind of zoomed. I'm going to double check, make sure it's not zoomed up to you. It might be zoomed, maybe. No, there's not zoomed.
No, it's okay. You think it looks too close?
It seems a bit close, but it's not zoomed.
No. Okay, that's right. That is perfect. Yeah.
Focus here.
Yeah, because it's kind of weird.
It is because we have to make two cameras onto the screen.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
right. That's why. Okay.
When should I use a knife, and when should I use a file or a sandpaper or whatever?
You know what?
What spots should I use these on?
We're gonna work in this one first, so I can show them what you're asking for.
Okay.
The bigger the piece, the bigger the tool. For this case, I have these clippers here.
That looks like a really big tool. Are you sure you don't want to use these?
Okay, no, okay. That indeed you're gonna get one of those this time from time to time. But no, we're gonna take these ones, and we're gonna work with this, with the big ones. You can see them right there, and you can see that this is a pluriform. So we're gonna cut it. One of the important things to do, we're gonna when we're gonna work with these sprues, we're gonna take the miniature, the piece that we want to take out. Okay, you can see me
I
there.
think it's going to be better if we get up real quick and we switch seats.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to have a hard time watching you with this camera. This is more for the painting, and this can be moved around as you need it.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and switch seats with me?
Okay, just for this one, let's do it.
And then you can easily get around.
Okay.
I get the pillow though because I have a very thin booty. If you need a pillow though, let me know.
No, that's fine. Go ahead. Only for showing you this stuff. Okay.
I think that camera is actually really good for you though.
Indeed.
I have small hands.
Oh, thank you. Because coffee is.
Get this keyboard here so I can talk to you guys in the chat. I love Bluetooth.
Look, it's amazing.
Well, when it works. Otherwise, I really don't like it.
That thing and pan pizza, one of the best inventions in the world. Yeah. Okay, so we were talking. We're gonna take the piece that we want to take out. This is a big one, so there is no problem. And also you can see that the clippers have two faces. One is away from you, for said so, and the other one is the edge. This is a plain one. It depends on the detail. In this case, there is no problem because this is a bigger one. So I'm gonna attach or take this from the sprue. I'm not holding it because of the sprue, because if you do it, you can get when you make the cut, you can throw away. I'm gonna show you how. You don't have to do that, but I'm gonna show you. Yeah, you saw that? You don't want to get one.
Wow, this thing just flew by.
Yeah.
This little piece just flew and hit the computer monitor.
Why? And the problem is not that it hit the monitor or that hits anyone in front of you. The problem is that perhaps that was the head, the only one head that you had of your miniature, and perhaps it didn't fell over here. It fell on the ground between all your stuff, and it is lost forever. There's a lot of memes. So you don't do that with your miniatures. You don't cut it like this. You take the miniature that you want, the piece of the miniature that you want, then cut behind it so it doesn't fly away.
Okay.
Yeah, I know this sounds a little bit like basics, yeah, but it happens all the time. Believe me, trust me on that one. So you take the piece, no matter how big it is, and you start cutting. Now you can see I'm trying to cut with the
really close
plain edge towards the miniature
Okay.
because this
Make
is
sure they can see it in the camera
a big detail. So
where you're cutting.
okay, this is it. That's exactly the place. Okay, I'm gonna cut this one right here. I'm taking the miniature again. Yeah, I know. But wow, this is so far away. I can almost reach it. So now I know before forcing it, because I'm gonna bend this. We have the sprue to work that really so you can see it. This is what happens when you force a miniature. You're gonna see it here. You're gonna see it clearer and clearer and clearer on it, until it breaks. Now it doesn't matter. You see that clear part? That's kind of like when you force your resin or your plastic.
Tension lines, yeah.
Yeah, tension line. So it doesn't matter if I get it to hot water. It doesn't matter if I get it to the straight line. It's there, and it's already taken. It's already hit. If you make another move to this side, it's gonna stretch.
Snap.
Yeah, and you're gonna snap it. And you don't want that. We're gonna use that, for example, this kind of little part here. You can see it. You can see the size of my finger. You don't want to lose it. If I just cut here, like I did before, it's gonna fly away.
So how do you stop it from flying away?
Again, we're gonna take that piece. We can make it from two different ways. We put it on the table.
Here, you can actually move this thing around. This is your camera.
Thanks a lot.
If you need to move it around,
Yeah, that will be okay.
you can move it up. So it's
Okay,
one space.
that's right. Thanks. It's easier because you're here. It's easier because you're here. Okay, so once again, you put it on the table and you take it with your finger and then cut from above, or as I said, you take it comfortably and you get your clippers from behind or from above, however you're comfortable with, and just cut so it doesn't fly away. I have it here, and whatever you do, please get organized. You have to put them away all together. Do not worry about it. For this part, my clippers are too broad or too big to get there. I can get it, but I have to force it. You see how I push the sprue away? You don't have to do that. That is when we get these ones, the pro ones. They are a little flatter, more flatter. I
Okay,
don't know.
flatter, yeah.
So yeah, it reaches between the sprue and the piece, and we can get it just easily. This is for details. Another thing that you can check out, if this detail, now this is a big one, but if this detail is too tiny or I don't want to risk it, I'm gonna take the clippers, these ones or these ones, away from the miniature. I'm gonna take it out, but I'm gonna leave a chunk, a big piece of the sprue here. I'm gonna show it to you when I finish. I'm gonna let it not quite well cut out, but this is only for showing you what you can do also, because some people get stressed to get out the miniatures from the sprue. We're not going to use this right away.
Yeah, I'm not very
No,
patient
sorry.
myself. I'm already getting a little flighty just watching you. I'm like, I want to start painting.
Yeah, I know, but this is important. So now you can see this piece. This has all that stuff, all the junk here, where I made the cuts. But this is nice because now I don't have to to do all the stuff with the sprue. I have it here, and I can hold it, and just with these ones or the big ones. I'm working with the big ones because those are the ones that you are most common to get to your face, and I'm making this all fly out. I don't care of them because yeah, there's plastic raining. Sorry, Josh.
It's a good thing I have safety goggles. If you're painting with somebody else and you're taking screws off, I definitely recommend safety goggles. I guess.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just showing them how all that junk flew away. You don't want that too.
Right into
So,
my
well-
coffee. Yummy.
Mmm. Nothing, nothing like plastic in the mornings. Okay, so now what you were asking for, and I want you to help me with. Okay, I want you to help me with this one.
Well, I
So
think
you can
they've
see.
seen how we've done it, right?
They see me done it to take it out of the sprue, but I want you to help me to clean this up. Yeah, I know you want to work with your miniatures. That's pretty nice and that's pretty comprehensible. But I don't want you. I want you to show them that while we are trying to.
Okay,
make
I
this
have one here. You can show me that one. I can use this one. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that one. Yeah, that's already cleaned. So now
Okay.
you're gonna work that one. So sorry. Okay, so now you were asking me when to use a knife, when to use a file, something like that. Okay, you can see in Josh's example all the junk that I had there. You see me taking out all the extra junk that I have here from the sprue. So now
Do I use a file? Do I use a knife? What do I use?
you're gonna use a knife. You can use a hobby knife like that. You can use a razor knife, a razor blade like this one, and precisely that's what I want to show them. You cannot see right away the Josh's hand, and I want you to see how Josh holds his knife.
All right,
because
so
that is the correct
if you
way.
go like this, you're gonna get a nice gouge in your finger. Of course.
Yeah.
Don't touch towards the finger. Always, if you don't
Mhm.
knife safety 101, save your fingers by cutting away. Now, if you can't control it, you might go crazy if you just shedding. Let me get this thing here.
Yeah,
It's so crazy to get this camera to work right.
that's what I was telling you.
All right, so let me go ahead and get this focus for you. Should be focused.
Okay,
One second, I'm gonna get the focus for them.
that's okay. And
All
I'm
right, there
gonna
we go.
prepare this one.
So, what I do to make sure I'm cutting okay, because I do like to play with knives sometimes, I'm gonna put my finger down here so I can control it, and I'm gonna be able to push into the miniature a little bit, not too much, but enough to just get a nice grip on this little piece.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut. Now, I still can cut myself right here, so I have to be careful. I think you mentioned one time a good tip is to put a little masking tape on your finger where
Yeah.
you might do that, and then it won't actually cut into your skin. But
You
this
will.
knife doesn't seem to be very sharp, so I'm gonna change knives.
Okay, I'm gonna. That knife is pretty good,
And it's not.
but
the
that's
blade doesn't
pretty
seem very
tiny.
sharp.
That's pretty tiny because of the size of the junk. I want you to try with this one, and you're gonna. This is important. Josh hold it quite good, but you can get it even better. For this one, I'm gonna show you with this. I got a little piece of junk here. Perhaps you cannot see it right there. Yeah, because of the shadow, I can show you. For this one,
Is there a
okay,
shadow?
yeah, there, I can show you the shadow. Yeah, that is okay. Don't worry. Okay. Oh well. Thanks a lot. Okay. You can see it here. In fact, I'm hitting it with the knife. So for these ones, we're gonna take the knife like this. We're gonna hold it. Indeed, it doesn't matter if it's a razor blade or a hobby knife. There are two ways of holding your knife. The first one is, of course, you're not touching the sharpened edge. You take it as close as you can for the blade, and then you put your finger here. That would be for making cuts of some materials like paper or something like that. You just support the blade and pull it out. But for these ones, we have two ways. One is to pull and the other one is to push. It doesn't matter again if this is a razor blade or a hobby knife like these ones that we have here. For this exact blade, I normally recommend to do it towards the front. Sometimes, if you have to pull it, you're gonna do it like this. You're gonna put the blade, and then you're gonna see how I'm holding it. And just putting here the thumb, and I'm pulling with this finger, with the side of the finger, and we're gonna control it. Normally, it doesn't matter about this. The important thing here is how you hold the piece. In this case, I'm gonna hold it as good as I can, as firmly as I can, and then I'm gonna take the other way of holding the knife. It's like this. You have it like this, and then you pull your thumb. I don't have the blade all the way out. I just need this little piece. You're gonna learn how to work with little pieces, so don't worry. I'm just taking out, and I'm just cutting all the junk, which Josh is doing over there. How are you doing with that?
I'm almost finished.
Okay.
These are pretty easy.
Yeah, these ones are so plain, so these are easy.
I've had to with the Zealot miniatures that I have.
Uh-huh.
By the way, they are a sponsor, and if we get 15 viewers, so please retweet or share on your social media. If we get 15 viewers today, or if we get 10 subs, I'm going to be giving away a Zealot miniature from the core set of the Kickstarter, one of the Minotaurs.
Those are pretty good.
They are. They run at $23 per miniature. So it's going to be a great deal. You'll get a free one sent directly to your home. It does not matter where you live. So that's going to be a great thing. So if you are wanting a really cool detailed miniature, you're going to want to check this out. This is one of the miniatures we're going to be painting today. I believe this is the Brute, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the miniatures that you could get. Look at the details on this guy.
Yeah,
We're going to be giving
awesome.
one of these guys away. Oh, look at that. He even has like little, like, almost like warts or something like that sticking out of his skin. It's
Indeed.
disgusting. Or maybe it's, no, I think they're piercings actually. They're piercings of little jaws.
It's so ugly that it is beautiful. Indeed.
This thing is incredible. And we're going to be giving one of them away today as soon as we hit 15 viewers or we get 10 subscribers. So remember, if you have Twitch Prime, you can do one free subscription per month. That costs you nothing. And guess what it means? It means you could win one of these, especially if we don't have too many viewers today. As long as we have 15 viewers or 10,
Only 15.
10
Yeah.
new primes, 10 new subscriptions,
Yeah.
we are going to give one of these guys, bad boys, away to you.
Okay, so and yeah, we're gonna get there because we're showing you how to prepare the miniatures. We're starting with these big ones so you can see the details, but we have to get there. So let's move on. Okay.
So I think I've gotten this pretty much done.
Uh-huh.
Now, what about what other kind of miniatures can we work on to show them? Because I don't know if everybody's going to be working on these kind of sprues.
No.
I know this is the first one I've ever worked on, and I've been painting for a few months now, unsuccessfully. I've never had any game workshops, probably because it's more expensive and it's for Warhammer.
Yep.
It's not really my cup of tea, just because I don't want to lose all my money.
Indeed.
So-
they're awesome, but yeah, they have its issues, like the price, of course. They have pretty good stuff. I really like Games Workshop, but yeah, what I like about Games Workshop is that you can customize almost every miniature because of the materials and the size of them. But yeah, they are a little bit more expensive.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's move
don't
on
throw
from
it.
then, and what are we going to do? Where are we going to go next?
I'm gonna show them with this one, but you're gonna work on the miniature because I wanted to show you only how to hold that. To show them how you hold the knife. So now we're gonna go with this pre-prime that
Okay.
you were working with.
I don't know how to. Every time I'm always cutting myself or the miniature when I'm taking mold lines off. I'm really bad at this. Maybe
Okay.
you could show me.
Okay, yeah. One thing that I noticed when you were doing it, and yeah, that's what I'm here for. I know how it sounds, but you have to hold them closer to the damage, or in this case for the mold line. Let's find one of them over here.
I can't see you in the camera.
Okay, here. Thank you.
Well, actually, that's my hand.
Indeed.
I thought that was your hand.
For this ugly guy here, well, it has its small lines. This is gonna be a little bit harder because as you can see it, the mold lines. I don't see if you. I don't get if you get the mold lines there, but the mold line, it's a pretty hard one. Why is that? Because it's above its teeth.
Is
You
that
see it?
above what?
Above its teeth. It's on its teeth.
On the teeth?
Yeah, on the teeth. Yeah.
So what do you do then? Do you what would material would you
You in this
use?
in this single pre-case, it's a hard one because
Okay.
you're gonna almost sculpt it out again.
So that mean you need to use a file or do you
A
need to use a
file.
knife?
Nice file because of course there are two kind of files. Are
Make
the
sure I
hard
can see it in
ones
the
and
camera.
the soft ones. Yeah, no, this I'm showing there. I'm
Back-
gonna show
we have a
the.
black background, so they won't be able to see that because
Okay,
this
yeah.
is dark.
Okay, okay. I see what you mean. Are hard files and soft files. This is because of the detail. Again, we're gonna start with the hard one. This is pretty rough. This one's pretty rough. You can feel it. You don't have to ask for them on the tool shop. You can feel it. If you have one on your home at home, you can get it. So we're gonna take it. We're gonna hold it like we hold the knife. We're gonna grab it here. We're gonna push with the thumb. Or we're just gonna start making a little caress here. We want to erase that mold line. Pretty soft. It doesn't matter that I mentioned this is the hard one or the rough one. You're gonna make it pretty soft until it vanishes. You're gonna do the edge of it. It can be a plane, it can be a round. You're gonna need a round sometimes. There are some triangular ones. I have this round one here. And I already took out the mold line that was crossing the teeth. But the problem here is that we have the mold line that is between the teeth, and for that we can again use the razor blade, which is a little bit big for my taste. I'm gonna use now the hobby knife because this is a tiny little one, and I'm gonna use it between the teeth just to divide them, kind of like a toothpick. I'm cleaning this up like if it would be a toothpick. Now we can see this other one here on the tail.
It's cold boil. We
Ah,
don't
don't
know.
worry, don't worry. This is okay. Josh is can tell you that this is already hard. This is already dry, and you can try to push it with something, and yeah, it bends because of the material, but it's gonna take recover all the shape that we gave it, so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Are you sure?
We
'Cause
wanna-
it looks like it's.
We're
that's-
gonna fix it up again because that's gonna happen every time. That's because it spent a lot of time in the other position. It's kind of like when you have your brackets or your braces on your teeth. It stays there until your teeth take that shape. It was stored in the storage for a long time with its axe bent, so it's almost permanent in that position. We have to correct that, and we're gonna do it again with heat and cold. But that's why we made it this before, because now you can see that it's trying to recover. So we're gonna work on that again in a while, and yeah, we're gonna get that. You wanna do that again? I can get that hot. Meanwhile, you try to take out these mold lines.
I suppose you can just dump it into the thing.
Okay.
So I didn't see your technique though, because you
Okay.
have a technique. I'm guessing. Do you? Do you go up like this? Do you go like this with
No,
the
no.
file? How do you
Okay.
use a file? I've
The
never used
file's
one.
gonna-
I don't cut my nails.
Okay, don't worry. That's why I broke these ones, these bigger ones,
How
so
do
you
you
can
use
see.
it on a miniature though? Because on that it's flat.
Oh yeah.
That's a flat thing. So for me, I would never have a problem because I just.
Okay.
But on a miniature like these, the reason why I brought this one out today
Okay.
is because there are so many grooves and details on this little guy.
Okay.
There's so many details on him that how do you make sure you keep those details?
It's the same on the. As you can see, and Josh can see it pretty good here.
I can't see you at all though. I don't think.
Well, not on the camera,
Nope.
but I want you to see it here because I don't know if the camera gets this focus.
Here, I'll bring it over here for you.
Ah,
then,
thank you.
so you can show me. You want to go ahead and get comfortable?
Okay. Yeah, I see. I don't know about the. Okay, there it is.
Let's go ahead and bring
No,
here so
that-
we're
no,
not looking at
that's,
your
that's
crotch.
the other one. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and show me what you're. Show me what this how this works.
Okay. We already cleaned this tip. And as I said, this is a soft work to do. We're gonna work on the tail. Which one is the real time right now? This one. Okay. You can see this line on the tail, right?
Right.
Okay. As this material is a little bit softer, we're gonna take first the raw file or the hard file. We're not putting too much pressure on your finger over here.
So
And yeah, it's back and forward.
Where can you buy one of these files? Because it seems like a must-have tool.
Okay, as I said, I brought the regular tools. These ones are you can get it on a craft store. Here we have it, the tlapalerias and the ferreterias.
We don't have any kind of stores like that in the U.S.
That will be in a tool shop, indeed.
So Home Depot, something like that.
Something like that, yeah, you can find it. For small miniatures, indeed, where you can find all the materials for your motor tool or your Dremel, you can find all this kind of stuff nearby. Or for the electronics, they have all sorts of tiny little tools. So okay, I took
So
all the almost.
it doesn't seem like you're doing much pressure on that thing.
No.
You're not
it's-
pushing down on
no,
it?
No.
Why
I know.
not?
Because this is so soft that you don't need to. You just have to clean that up because this is only a mold line. I'm gonna show you even though on the bigger one so you can see the difference. Because yeah, in the miniature you can notice it. But in the yeah, that's right. And now, if I had some extra parts that were a little rough, I'm gonna take the soft one and I'm just gonna kinda make a polish here on the same area. That's what yeah, that's right. On the same area, yeah, that's because that's the face that I want to show them. And I'm just, as you can see, I'm just pulling in and out. I'm not putting so much pressure because this is so soft.
Okay.
You don't have to do that because if you make a lot of pressure, you're just gonna erase it. Again, we're gonna take one of these little pieces.
Erase what? The seam line? That's what I want to erase.
No, we're gonna erase the detail. This is what we get with a soft one. We're gonna make it round. Imagine that corner. It's a detail and a mold line. Yeah, I'm gonna just round it, and it's gonna get nice and easy. You can feel it. You also can feel the mold lines. I'm taking the other one, the soft one, just to make the finish, the finishing details, and it's already soft. The problem is, I'm gonna show you this way. You can see it's still flat. This is the side that the one that you see on the top, this side that I took out or I cleaned. What I want to show you is that if you put a lot of pressure here, this is what's going to happen to your miniature.
Oh, let me get that in zoom.
Okay. I just used 3 holes of this. I'm gonna move this out so you can see against the white, and you can see that triangle. That triangle, I took out a piece of it. You don't want that for your miniatures. If you put a lot of pressure,
Yeah, that does definitely doesn't look that pretty.
yeah, you don't. You're not gonna take the mold line. You're gonna take part of the miniature. That is the same with the knife. With the knife, you're gonna take only the parts that you can really take. If it comes the time that you don't, that you get eager to finish faster, try to not. Try
Be
to
patient.
be patient. Stand back, take another miniature, start with another miniature, and then you can, when you come down, you can come back to this miniature and finishing the job and finish the job. Okay, we can get one other here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it here on the camera. I'm gonna try to put that face towards you. There is a little line there. You can see it from out here, Josh.
Here, I can go ahead and get closer and show the so you can see exactly what you're talking about.
Indeed, I showed them one that I want you to try to clean on the giant. That will be even more. We're gonna do something with that giant
Okay.
so they can see what we're talking about pretty clear. Okay, I'm just touching it like this. I'm not pushing too much. I'm just letting my finger fall on it, and that's all the pressure I got. And
Press the model, don't rub it. All right, thank you.
yeah, something like that.
Illuvidin, are you jumping on here from Twitch or are you jumping on here from Twitter? I don't recognize your name. And welcome to the show.
Welcome. Okay, meanwhile, before we start with that one, I'm gonna show them how to pop out the details. Some people do this before painting. I'm using the Easy Shade from Ronin right now.
Yeah, Ronin is one of our sponsors for the show. Ronin Acrylics is a brand that's very popular here in Mexico. So it might not be the best one for you guys all back in the States or Canada or UK that are watching, but it's actually a really nice. I think it's a really great paint, and so I've asked them to go ahead and they would be sponsors, and they were happy to sponsor us.
Of course.
So we have shades. So what are shades used for? Is it not just to bring out the? You don't want to bring out the lines, because you don't want the lines that you really pop out, do you? So what are they used for? And should I take this arm off because it does come off?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you them also. No, we're working on that indeed. On the arm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
some
you can
parts
see
come come separate.
Yeah, indeed, because they have to be assembled. Sometimes you have to glue them. Sometimes you don't have to. But well, let's move
From
this.
Houndstooth, welcome, awesome. Yeah, okay, I remember you. Yeah.
Ah, hello again.
So Houndstooth Miniature Painter he's pretty much us painters on Twitch are trying to work together to raise each other up. And
Oh,
Houndstooth pretty much said, "Hey, everybody, go check out Josh. He's a new painter." And I was talking about this show
Oh, that's nice.
on his channel.
That's pretty nice. Welcome.
So
and
that is
I'm
a
happy to have you
huge-
here. Okay, now we have this mold line.
Look
You
at-
can see it there, and that's why I brought why I asked Josh to have the bigger miniatures here. Okay, so now we're gonna try to. Normally, the shades or the washes are not for this, but some painters like to do that before, so they can see all the details and to take them out. This time, I'm gonna use it only for you to show you, because it gets
Now, if you
stuck
use
on
this
the
wash,
recesses.
is it going to stay and be stuck on the miniature? Because do we want to use that color for the miniature?
No, it
Because I
doesn't
believe
matter.
you have a brown wash.
It doesn't matter. It's just because they can see it better. Don't worry about that. I just want to see. I just wanted to see this line. This is a mold line, and now you can see it pretty clearly.
You can also see how it's jumping into the muscles
Yeah,
too. The
that's
shade,
right.
the shades. I love shades. They're like magic to me. A bottle of magic. It really pops out all the little details
Yeah.
by crevicing into the cracks that you can't reach with your paintbrush, and it just they go in, and then suddenly all the muscle, all the little lines that were details that were part of the original miniature just popping out to you.
Yep, indeed. And now you can see the mold line, and well, I didn't apply the wash all over it, but you can see how it goes straight ahead, all over the axe, all over the arm. I can use the wash on all the miniatures, but that's unnecessary because you can see it now. That's what we're talking about.
This hand's gonna be this is gonna be the worst for me, getting the mold lines off the bloody fingers.
Okay, so now we're gonna get there also. We're
I
gonna
think
start
the
with
flat
this one.
spot's pretty easy.
Yeah, and
What technique do you use for the flat spots?
well, we're gonna start with that technique. Some people start with a hobby knife or an X-Acto blade like this one, and we just again, it's not hard. It's not too much pressure. It's only letting it fall. That's it. You just put it against the miniature. Just get it straight. Do not get it like this because you can get into the material. Just get it flat, just 90 degrees, and you're just gonna move it. Normally, I use it like I normally use it forward. Why forward? Because normally you work towards the other way. You don't want this is for the camera on the front. Yep. Uh, you want to push away all the stuff. You don't want to. You can pull it out, but you get the risk to cut yourself. So normally we're gonna try to work to the front. So okay, this will be 90 degrees. We're only trying to clean it up. Okay, you're too young or too little to try with these ones, and please take care about your youngsters. This is risky. Okay, we're not trying to use that one, or I have these little pieces. We're gonna get the file. That's what it's made for, and we're gonna do it back and forward and clean it up all the way. Okay, there's a little piece that I don't want to mess with because this is so nice. I have the detail. Okay, we're gonna use the soft one, the soft file.
So right now I see it. It looks really rough though. Is it going to always look rough?
No, it depends on the material, and also we can get the gaps filled like you said with the epoxy.
Okay.
So we can use that too. So we're gonna just move it around. Don't only move because we're on the camera. I try to not move it, but normally I will move the piece.
Here, I can go ahead and back up a little bit and let
No,
you
no,
just
do not worry.
normally. Now,
No. We want them to see it. So,
I can see this.
but
Go ahead.
normally at home we will be comfortable. We don't want. You're not working on the camera. We get used to it, and we want to show you. But
Yes.
normally you are this distance. I'm taking out the miniature so you can see me. I'm checking out, and you're working like this. You're gonna hold the miniature like this, comfortable, with confidence. You're comfortable with it, and then you take it, or you go under the light and work with, and that's what we're gonna do here. So now, just can tell you, this
I'm just a
doesn't
camera
look-
guy, guys. That's all I do.
Yeah, sure. I'm old-fashioned and I'm old school.
Go ahead and
So-
do you want to get comfortable? I have the camera. I can hold it and get you guys into zoom in.
No. This is okay.
Get the panorama shot.
Okay. Can we do the slow motion stuff? Like I'm on an operation table, something like that. And put some music, some dramatic music. Okay, I took out all the stuff here from this axe, and Josh can tell you. Can you feel it, Josh? Just to
Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here
yeah.
so you can really see it. Yeah, it is a lot smoother now.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so that's I was really worried about that. You can see here how this line here, and now the line in the bar is really quite smooth.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're gonna get. Also, we have this kind of tools. This is a Citadel mold liner.
I don't
know.
have one of those. This is something one of your tools from your toolbox.
Mhm, yeah, indeed.
But this is the Citadel mold line cleaner.
Yeah, that's right.
And show me the technique you would use with this tool. And is it necessary? I never had one yet.
It's not necessary per se. Yeah, I'm going back to these ones. This is to avoid of the use of a knife. You don't get the risk of cutting your miniatures. So because this has no edge or sharp edge, so you just pull it down, and you're gonna see how it takes out the mold line. You can see it on my fingers, and just put it here.
I'm just going to jump this over so you can actually see the whole big screen on the camera, guys. I think that'll be easier for us.
Okay, and this is how it works. This has a mold line all around it, so that's why I'm using this for the example. You can use it forward, you can use it backwards, it doesn't matter. The only thing, and this has this round shape for some, don't worry, for if let's say we have some piece like this, which is round, you can use it with this round edge, and it gets to it. Indeed, these clippers have its own mold line, so you can see it. Yeah, I took it out.
Exactly, yes. So the round parts
The
used
only-
for round edges.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the only risk with these ones is these are tools and these are models. These are tiny little soft pieces.
Can you show it to
that-
this piece?
Yeah, with this one.
With the round? No, with the round
with
tool
the-
and the round. You have a round circle part.
Okay,
here.
okay, no, but that is not gonna work on that. We're gonna do the flat one for that one. For a round one, it will be something like that. I think we don't. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, this one. Where there's the assemble, we have a little mold line here. Yeah, you can see it there. That's it. And that will be for the round part. We're gonna take it and we're gonna just pull it out, pull it down. This has these little tiny little dots. So
You mentioned
that
the axe has actually got a round part, right?
Yeah,
So I think for the round part, it's not the curved parts, but it's literally the round part. So the axe
yeah,
doesn't have a round part really. Everything's coming into a sharp
edge,
line,
yeah, that's
an
right.
edge. So that's when you use a straight edge part of the razor.
okay.
But when you get a part that is that's actually round, for example, this part
Yep.
could be a little bit round on the muscle. That part could possibly be used by the round blade of the
of the molder line
the
cleaner.
mold remover.
Yeah, all right. And also, this one is it's pretty handy. It's pretty good. But we have to remember, as I was saying, these are models. These are miniatures. Have to be treated with love and a lot of care. Because, please don't do this.
Don't do this at home, guys. No.
I'm gonna do something that I was gonna do this, but no. I'm gonna use the sprue again. That's what it's for. If you take any tool like the files I showed you before, if you just get ahead to it, you can devastate your miniature and go and go and go. You have to be pretty careful because these are hard working tools. These are harder than the models. So just let it fall and just clean that line. That will be it. Don't push it because you're gonna. We have it here like a garlopa or kind of like a brush for wood. It takes out all the stuff. You can see all this stuff. This dust is.
So be kind to your minis, what you're saying. Be kind. Don't force it.
Yeah, don't
Nothing
force
should ever be forced.
No,
your
no.
relationship with your miniatures,
No.
your relationships in general should never be forced. It
Yeah.
should become as easy as. So here's some relationship advice. Don't force things in your life. Don't force your miniatures. Don't force anything. Why? Because things should come, well, naturally.
naturally.
And let it smooth into there. Smooth into what you're getting into.
Okay, so
So
now we
this
have all
has
this dry.
a stain. Is a way to get the stain off.
Yeah, okay, do not worry about the stain. Indeed, it's gonna be covered by the color we're gonna use to paint it. So,
Okay.
Okay, do not worry about it. What we want to worry about it is to take out this mold line, and I think you have to do it.
Oh boy.
Okay, so do not worry. You have to
Should I use this tool for the
try
arm?
try it just at once. Again, yeah. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Oh
And
my
just,
gosh.
Just make a caress with it.
Have I ever told you that I have a fear of taking these mold lines off? Actually, why I specifically asked him, let's work on mold lines today because I still feel really unconfident about mold lines.
Yeah, it's called Hack Your Mini Phobia. Just caress it. Don't worry about it. If you don't take out the mold line just by caressing, okay, push a little harder, but not too much. If it doesn't come out, forget about the mold cleaner, the mold line cleaner, and then use a file. That is the way that you work it. Yeah.
Oh, you believe me? Thanks, man.
Damn.
Well, thank you. Actually, I don't know. Are you a gal or girl? Thanks, Il. She's
Very
call you
much.
by your name.
Oh yeah. Oh, they already know my name. That's nice. Hey,
No,
Mom.
no, I said thanks, Il.
Okay. Nah,
Look
I
at
don't
you.
want
He
to know.
thinks he's getting famous already over here. Wow, I'm famous already. They call
Yeah.
you by my name.
Yeah, I can come by my name. That's
Say
because
my
of
name,
your tag.
say my name.
That's because of the tag on your shirt. Oh, okay.
So now I'm getting marks like this. Is that normal?
Yeah, and that's why I use the shade to show them how now you can see where you took out the line. Of course, the line was covered in the shade. Now you can see it white. Why? Because we took all that line apart, and you can see now the white material beneath it or under it. Okay.
And I'm not sure if any of you guys have gotten this miniature yet, but I would recommend getting this miniature, and you can paint along with us during the streams.
Yeah, indeed. Next week we're gonna talk. We're gonna work with that precise one. That's where we are.
Was I using the wrong part of the blade? Are the both sides sharp?
Yeah, indeed. Both sides are the same,
Okay.
and this is so you can use any of it.
Okay, then I'm going to use this side down. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it's much nicer.
Yeah, because you get comfortable, and now you're holding it properly. And I don't mean the tool. I mean the miniature. Now I see the confidence that you have to hold it. And you're
I guess I'm as straight as a razor. You know, I like that straight razor,
Yeah.
not the curved razor, because like this straight razor, going straight is so much easier than I guess here. But I guess I should have been going like this, right?
You should try. At
Okay,
least
holding
in
like
time. In time, some of these tools are a little bit expensive, but they worth it. Believe me. Indeed, Josh now got this little drill. Pretty nice, and he can tell you that he got already. He had already one, and it works perfectly.
This
But
drill is really good for getting your miniatures
Yeah.
pinned.
you already had one, but it was a little too big for the miniatures before. Remember?
Yeah, I had another blade, or not blade. Excuse me, I'm cleaning the blades. I said blade.
Yeah.
I have another
Drill.
drill, but I have a big kit for sculpting clay.
Which
Because
is
I was
pretty
also
cool.
working on clay stuff, but it's quite big for the miniature, and it didn't have a sharp point to
Mhm.
kind of really dig in. So these things right here, if you reapplied the shade, would you be able to see your progress? Let's find out.
Oh yeah. Well, indeed,
Where's
you
your
can show
brush
them
that you
the.
used?
Indeed, you can show them right now.
What brush did you use for this one?
This one.
Okay.
Okay. Before we use the shade, show it to the camera. Indeed, you have to see a white line between the. Yeah, that white line is where you remove. Indeed, you can see there the
I kind of
progress.
went off a little bit too. I got this spot here.
Don't worry. But okay, apply it, please. And now you can see it's gonna. There's not gonna be a line.
So I can still see a little bit of this line here
Yeah,
on the edge.
in the edge of the weapon. Yeah.
So maybe I didn't do it very well enough, and I need to do it. I need to gouge deeper and.
No, and you're not gonna use that tool because you already used it,
So then I should
softly.
use a knife.
and so now you're gonna use a file. Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, the moldlight cleaner is to use it instead of a knife.
Which
to
one
not
do I
risk
do?
it. We're gonna try first the rough one, and then you can feel it. You can right away feel it. That is rougher than the other one. We're gonna have to wait until it's dry. We don't want to use it, but try let the wash dry, and we're gonna try with this one. We have to make the progress in the miniatures.
Yes, I think we do. Should we start working on metal miniatures?
You want to? Let's do it. Yeah,
Let's
check
go
it
ahead
out.
and move on to the metal miniatures because we still need to get the priming today.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if we get all this stuff and priming and this and pinning, we'll have time to paint some of our own projects. Right now, we've been working on the Z-Lot miniatures. So this is the giveaway I told you about. If you can share this and try to get
I
the
love
primed,
those miniatures.
we have Z-Lot miniatures. So this is the one I've been working on with his help. And you know what? I'm going to change the camera a little bit
Yep.
because this looks a little bit funny. And I'm just going to make it bigger.
Hmm?
They can't see yours.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So jump over here
Yeah. Here.
because I decided just to focus on
One camera.
one camera.
No, that's right because we're working on these miniatures right now.
So this is the miniature that we're working on now. This is the female Minotaur. She is badass, I think.
Indeed, she's a total badass.
And so this is the miniature I've been working on. He's been showing me how to shade and create layers because I've always just kind of painted on kind of haphazardly. He's been showing me how to get the muscles to come out by using highlights with layers and shadows with layers. And then he's working on this one. So that's mine that I've been working on for the last couple weeks almost because I only work on it during the show. And then this is the one that he's been working on. You can see that these are pinned, and we're going to show you how to do that later. Because
Indeed.
I found that when you use, say, putty, and you use it for attaching it to the corks that are wine, I found that the residue sticks to the cork and to the miniature, and that really, really annoyed me because these miniatures, these minotaurs, are, well, as I mentioned, you can see some of the residue still there from when I had it attached to the cork with the putty. So now I'm going to pin these guys to, a paper clip. We're using paper clips. We're using the clippers to clip part of the paper clip off. We're using paper clips and we do a drill, paper clip, and glue to pin the miniatures so they're like this.
Yep.
Next month I'll be having a special handle for holding miniatures. But I still haven't found the best material yet. Maybe I'll just try to use glue again to attach the miniature to a cork. But this is the one that he's been working on. Now this is his style, a little bit different than the one I have. It's much darker. It's a metal minotaur.
He's so handsome. I don't know what you're talking about. He's so handsome.
It's going to be so awesome when it gets on the table. These things they dwarf the other miniatures.
Indeed. They're pretty cool.
All right, let's
Okay,
jump back
let's
to
jump back
what
the,
we're...
I think the was already dry. Let's try with that one. Oh, there is the head.
I worked a little bit, by the way, on the back. I used a shade, and it did this. Remember, it used to be gray. Now it's gray, dark, like really dark and almost brownish for the rags.
Indeed. And yeah, remember, you have to experiment with the materials. Do not be afraid of doing it. And you have you have the doubt of how will it look like. Do not worry. You have spare parts. You have some other materials where you can try the effects on it. And do not worry. Always remember to water down your paintings or your paint. That way you don't have to worry about the details. Like in this arm that we're trying to take out the mold line. In this case, it doesn't matter that I applied the shade or the wash here, because while you take out the miniature. No,
Do
that
you
is
want to
okay.
get back in your camera?
No. Only while you
Here.
take out the miniature so
Go
they
ahead.
can see it.
Your cameras.
Okay, well, yeah. That's what I was saying.
Your camera's
Okay.
just fine.
Yeah, the wash is already set, and I'm gonna continue cleaning up this mold line. Meanwhile, Josh is gonna take out that lady. You can see how I got this mold line here. That is a perfect side of it. I took out the extra mold line with the file. It continues over here. I'm gonna take this out from where Josh this where Josh was. So he already moved the hardest part of this mold line, and I'm gonna just use this file, this one here, and I'm just gonna back and forward again
Back and forth.
And
back
because
forth,
this,
back and forth.
yeah, that's right. And because this is raised up from the miniature, I'm gonna clean it up. I took out some of the wash because, of course, I rubbed it. But you can see right here, this line, this white line is where the mold line was. So now I took it out, and this is clean now, and you can feel with your finger, with your fingertip, you can feel how smooth this is now. And we're gonna continue. I'm gonna continue with this. And meanwhile, Josh is gonna
I have a metal
tell us
miniature.
about this miniature. Yeah.
Well, I don't know much. I've avoided metal miniatures because everybody says they're better to paint, they're easier to paint, but I've found them not to be
No, they're
that way.
not.
For me, to me, they are more difficult. They're more. It's harder for me to see details. But people say the metal ones retain higher detail than say plastic resin. So, but one of the biggest reasons I don't like these is because they have this line here, and I don't know how to get them. I don't know how to pin them. How do I get them so they can stay still? Because if I put them on this base that it comes with, they just wobble around. They don't stay still. So what do I do, Hill?
Okay.
What do I do with this so I can paint it without touching the miniature while I'm painting and smearing the paint? How can I get this on a base? Should I use a corkscrew and gouge a hole into it so it can go into there? Or how do I do it? I don't know.
Okay. The better way. It depends on the miniature. In this case, Josh has a pretty good miniature. This is too fancy. This is nice. Okay. Just has this little miniature. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, right. Thanks. For this one, yeah, you can pose it
It
on
ju-
the base, but you have to reinforce it. Why is that? That it is good for this miniature. For this miniature in particular, it's tiny. You don't have to get two other parts. I'm gonna use the file again just to signal. As this is free, all over all the space free, you don't have to trouble or to worry about getting into the way. Sometimes you cannot pose it on the base because I don't know for
It's close to the bottom. I have other ones
Yeah,
here as
that's right.
examples.
Thank you. That's right.
Like this one, I still can't figure onto a base.
Okay,
It just
do not
falls
worry.
off. This
Okay.
one just, look at this. This right here, it just falls off.
Okay.
What do I do? I feel like this is an infomercial, but
No. Yeah, indeed. That's nice you asked for it, Josh, because that's what I want to show you. Okay. Yeah, you can also get
look at this new tool. You can buy it now for $9.99.
only $9.99. Okay. Epoxy again, and this is a pretty popular label. This is for the craft store. This is not for modeling. For modeling, you're gonna find something called green stuff. Normally, it comes in yellow and blue, and this is so soft to use it for sculpting.
I have green stuff.
Okay, but now we're not gonna. Well, let's see if Josh finds his green stuff. He's gonna show it to you because that's finer than this one. This is for home repairments, and we use it. But you also can use it for your miniatures. Yeah, that is the normal green stuff. Okay, so now that will be.
You said we want to use green stuff or we don't?
No, not really now, but we're gonna use it in time because we're not making any details. We're just gonna attach this miniature to.
How do you get that to stick?
Okay,
Like what you do?
We're
What
gonna
are you doing
pin it-
right now with your hands?
okay, we're gonna take small parts. I just took. Let's get rid of it. Yeah. Okay, we're
Do you
gonna
need-
take just a little bit like this.
Do you need Vaseline or no?
Nah, no. You can
green
work
stuff-
with Vaselina, but you don't have to at the beginning. Do not worry. What you do have to get every time you work with green stuff, that for sure, is water. Okay,
Okay.
that's all I get. That's all I'm taking out of the white of every part. Yeah, normally we take out a lot, and there's always remnants. We don't need that. We just need these little pieces here, and then we combine it. We have these two. I'm showing you. That's all I'm taking out. You can see the point of this X-Acto knife. Well, that is the amount. You don't need anything else. Thank you. That's all you need. that little piece. Okay, so now we mix it up. We only do it with our fingers. That's it. And we bend it over and we make a line again, little stripes. Okay, so now meanwhile I'm doing this, normally I would use this because we're gonna use it on its base. We have to get it well mixed. Meanwhile, Josh is cleaning up the rest of the giant because making epoxy strips is so boring. Indeed. Remember, when you get to some point where you can no longer go with the tool,
Ooh, I pushed.
okay. When you before you get there,
This is what happens when you force it. You kill your giant's axe.
well, unfortunately for you, we're gonna do a little battle damage for that. So do not worry. There's always a solution, and we are also gonna show them how to repair some of those stuffs. And now with the green stuff. The reason why Josh has Vaseline is because, of course, the epoxy gets so sticky. We don't want that, but it happens. So now I have it all cleaned up. What you doing?
I pushed down,
Okay.
and so I should have been using a file, I think.
Yeah, before that moment, you have to use a file. So now, I have already the green stuff, and I'm gonna put it on one side and on the other one. Do not prepare more green stuff until you're sure that you have to use it. So now I have the base, I have the stuff around it, and I'm just gonna push it, and it fits, as you can see it now. It doesn't fall apart. Of course, you have to wait until it is all dry, but that's it. I still have the one that I took before, only to show you. And we have these gaps on the sides of the miniature. We're gonna cover them with green stuff also, but not this time because we have to paint it before. And now we're gonna take one of these corks. Sorry, I'm gonna take this one that is free.
Yep, I have a lot of them here.
And now we can use one of two things. We can take a little bit of super glue here. We can get pinned down this miniature, or we can also use green stuff or epoxy like this one I'm gonna use right now to attach it to the cork. That depends totally on you. In this case,
Make sure you are in the camera.
yeah, yeah, that's the one mine. Huh? Okay, got it. Thanks. And yep, that's it.
Okay, so you're attached it there. I have a quick question now. This giant is a pre-primed miniature, and what I'm noticing, the reason why I just realized this showed damage is because I'm cutting away or clearing away the prime that's already on there.
Yeah.
So, should I reprime it after I get done cleaning it?
If you get only the mold lines, they are pretty so tiny that you don't have to reprime.
But
You
some
can-
of them are really, really evident. Like, for example, on the axe it's not important, but some of these are going to be really, really evident.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in the body parts.
Mhm.
Should I reprime then? Like, for example, here, if I'm going to go here, it's going to be all
A
along
pretty-
here.
Yeah. Indeed.
It's going to be. So, do you reprime when you do that?
Normally, yes, I do. And normally, I don't take the primer can. I use this product here. As we said, there are a lot of labels out there. The Vallejo is one of the best for me. I normally work with Ronin, Vallejo, and Citadel. Those are the ones. You can also get the Proprietary Press, the P3, or the Army Painters. They're also good. I normally use the Vallejo, Citadel, or Running, of course.
Okay.
Okay, so do not, you can try any one of those. Do not worry about it.
So I think what we should do now, we should focus on maybe one of the miniatures, perhaps that one, to
Mhm.
show up because we have 1 hour left.
Okay,
So let's go ahead and show them how to.
we're gonna prime this one first.
We can't prime it without cutting the mold lines.
Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, we're gonna prime this. I recommend that you, when you finish with those mold lines, you reprime only the lines with this, so they can see where you worked up.
I do not want to use a black primer for this model. I don't think. I think I want to use the gray primer that is already on there.
Okay, yeah.
So if we have a gray or white primer, I think it would be better to use. And maybe you
That
could
one?
show us how to use the spray.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
This one, I've made this surface primer for the black. I'm gonna save this one for the Reaper miniature spider lady.
I'm gonna start working with this on the mold lines of this lady.
Okay, what's the difference between working in metal and working in plastic? 'Cause I
Indeed.
don't know. I've never worked with metal.
Indeed, it's the same thing. You have to work it the same way, from the bigger to the smaller. So not worry about it. The problem it
I'm gonna
will
make
be
you
with the
big
tools.
now, okay.
Yeah. That will be okay. Do not worry. The problem will be with the tools. Of course, the metal is harder than
Give me a
the
second.
plastic or
I'll
the
get you
resin.
back up.
Yeah. There am I. Yeah. Okay. That's. Of course, metal is harder than the plastic and the resin. So of course, we're gonna make the advance with the same tools, but if we use a hobby knife or an X-Acto knife,
1 second, I'm having issues here.
okay, there it is. I want to find this kind of damage. We wanna work here. Do you still have a little super glue here?
I have lots of super glue.
Oh yes.
All right, here we go. Now I got her.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, we're gonna need just a little bit to fix it up to accelerate the epoxy. You have some here.
I do. What kind of? You said super glue or
Super
this kind of glue?
No, super glue. We need to
Oh, super
get
glue.
dry. If not, do not worry. I have a little bit. I'm pretty sure. But
I have lots of glue here. I never run out of glue because I'm always doing crafting projects.
yeah,
I just have to find it.
indeed, you should see him working. It's pretty awesome. All the stuff that he has, and well, we're gonna get that stuff done in time. Thanks a lot. Okay, just a little bit of super glue here, just to accelerate this, so we don't have to get worried about moving this piece of art. I'm just putting.
Okay, let's
This
make
is
sure we
not
can
this is
see
not
what you're
secret,
doing.
yeah. Okay, this is not secret. Do not worry. It's only for accelerating the epoxy to get dry. That's it. So now, meanwhile it gets dry, I'm gonna show you. Indeed, this miniature is almost pretty clean, but we're gonna find this kind of pieces. The reason that some people tell or says that metal miniatures have a lot more of detail. This is true in half, because the metal is more dense than plastic, so that helps when you inject them in the molds. It's easier for it to get through the mold into the little details, and that's why you get more detail normally from a metal miniature than a plastic one. That was before. Now you can get pretty good detail on a plastic model because of the hashtag technology, but now we still get this stuff on the, you don't see it because they are already packed, and some people were paid to remove it from the mold lines, but we still have these little pieces, and these are the residues of the mold the metal was injected through here. I'm gonna use this piece so you can see it through against the dark. That's one of the pieces we're looking at. It was bent down because of the package of the packing.
Is it part of the model or is it just a mold line?
No, that is a mold line.
Okay.
We're gonna find it like little hairs over there, and we're gonna take it out. That's as simple as it. Of course, and we're gonna see it through. You know, there's gonna be a little chunk there that we're gonna take apart with our files. Wanna do it in a try it with a metal? We have also the other one if we want to try it. Okay. What I'm looking here is at the details. And do not worry, there's always some details that you can check out. Problem here is you have to be patient. So patient. And you have to identify the mold lines.
Would you use shader on these too, or would you avoid using shader?
No, I normally don't use them. Let's take advantage of these ones. Put one on the front.
I think I can't do that with this one.
Yeah,
you
you
can't
can.
see it because no, this isn't part of the miniature. This comes off.
Okay, no. I was talking about the base. Just attach it to the base,
Okay,
so you don't have to hold
I
it.
can't see what we're doing here.
Okay, I'm gonna take this. So leave it for you. Okay. Okay. Here we are.
So do I use a knife or clippers to take this off?
Well,
This is a little piece here. I'm going to show you guys here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now this little guy is cool, but I notice his piece here, this is like a stick that he's holding, and it needs to be taken off. So I notice if I go like this and I just try to bend it off, it starts bending the actual miniature, actual stick, and it's not
we
a
don't want
good
that.
thing. It looks like.
No.
It looks like a really bad thing to happen to my poor little miniature.
Indeed. Please don't.
Oh no!
Stop this carnage, please.
I'm torturing him really.
Indeed. You're torturing me.
So, how do we get this little piece off? Phil?
With a hobby knife.
With the hobby
We're
knife.
gonna only start with the hobby knife. We're gonna try to take out as much as we can from that extra part.
Oh, it just went right through there.
Okay, don't worry. And take the exact just like this. You take it because you have the control view. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Indeed.
I wanted it to fall down.
Yeah,
Right.
but
I don't think that's a piece of it. So this is just an extra screw.
okay. Well,
Is that where you
stop it right
clippers?
there. No, stop it right there.
Uh oh.
You were holding it like this, and you were holding it. Okay, here I am. Okay. Let's clean this up so they can see all the space.
I'm gonna zoom in for you a little bit.
Okay, so you want to get rid of this piece right here, that one, and this one, right? This little hair here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm zoomed in right now for you.
It doesn't matter that we have a tiny little piece. Josh was holding it like this and trying to get all the way there. This is not a screwdriver. We're gonna have to do it the right way because we have to do it. No, this is fine because we want to be gentle through our miniatures, but we have to be kind of like kids. You have to be a little bit firm with them. So we're gonna take it like this firmly, and we're gonna take it the closest we can get to the miniature. The more control we're gonna have. You want to take out this chunk?
Yeah.
Or-
Go ahead and show them. I know what chunk you're
No,
talking about.
no. Well, just want me to show you. This is the one that you want to take out.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. we're gonna also do it the same way. But this is an X-Acto blade. It's gonna cut through it, but it's gonna be so hard for it to do it that we're gonna mess this tool. So we're gonna take a bigger one and take out.
1 second. Did you say you lost me? Hey, Il, did you lose something? Are we still? Oh, we are reconnecting. 1 second.
Okay.
We do have a connection issue. Reconnecting. Alright, I think we're coming back on. Are we coming back on? Looks like we just automatically disconnected. Okay, I think we're coming back live now. Sorry about that. Go ahead and
Okay.
tell me, what's the last thing you heard? Alright, so ooh, now it's nice and zoomed in.
Indeed,
Okay.
you got a real good swim.
I see you too. Alright.
Okay. Well, what was the last thing they got from us?
What's the last thing you heard? So I think what he's trying to show you now is how to get the little pieces off. This is a little sprue piece.
Okay.
Hold it firmly. That's the last thing he heard.
Okay.
Hold it firmly like you do with a child.
Okay. We're gonna take the miniature. I was telling you that we can do it with an X-Acto knife, but this is too big for it. We're gonna mess with this tool. We're gonna take a bigger one.
Not the clippers?
Yeah, we can take the clippers, and we can take this one. We're gonna combine them to make this. I'm gonna take this out. That will be it. But we still have some piece of it, like this. And we're gonna take it the closer we can to the miniature and to the blade. Okay, and it's clean, but this is so rough. It even has a little edge here. Now we go to the files, and as I said, you're gonna work the bigger to the smaller. Now this is so tiny that we can take it apart. Again, just the weight.
The reason
this
why
is
this
not-
miniature is black, by the way, is because I've already primed it.
Indeed.
I just primed it because I was just going to start painting it, and I thought keeping this small piece on would probably be the smarter idea, but now I realize just today that if I did that, well, if you look at the miniature, look on the back of him, he has a big spot where that thing used to be attached on his back. Turn him around, you can see where it used to be attached. Right there, you can see this here on the side. This is where it
Okay,
used to
yeah,
be
yeah.
attached. So I decided maybe it's better to take it off. But what do I do with this small piece?
Okay, that's a good question.
Can you show them that's a stick and his hand. So what do I do with that small piece now? Go ahead and move your camera so you're in the kid. There we go.
Yeah, there it is. We're gonna check.
It's going to be for his other side, actually.
Indeed, it's yeah.
This is a cool miniature, but I realized I only had a black paint-on primer, so I just painted on all primer to almost several of my minis. I'm thinking about taking that primer off and repainting it, repriming it with perhaps a white primer, so I can see the details better.
Well, do not worry about it.
I can give
we
him a hook and call him a pirate. I could do
Yeah.
that, yes.
Well, as this is metal, it will be easily cleaned. So yeah, you can do that, but you can paint it just right away. Do not worry about
I
it.
should paint it.
No,
Okay.
paint it.
Paint it. Okay.
Yeah, paint it. Sorry. Yeah.
Should I take this? How do I get a black primer? Let's say I don't want to have the black primer. What do I use to take primer off?
Okay, on metal, and this is only because this is metal, and this is the only one that's gonna support it or take it. Do you have some thinner?
Alcohol thinner like this?
No, we're gonna need thinner for oil paints.
Thinner, you mean like for oil paints or like
Yeah,
for
for oil
nails
paints.
polish?
That will help also, yeah, but you have to dip it, and then you have to take it out, and all the
I might have that for my makeup, actually. Not my makeup, excuse me. Haha. I mean, I have ears, and I use thinner to take the ears off after I glue them onto my ears. So I think that might work. Let me go ahead and
Okay.
see if I
If
have a
not,
small little bottle.
if not, we can get it for next week only to show you. But remember, that only works for metal miniatures. Please do not drown your plastic miniatures or your resin miniatures on thinner, on oil thinner, because you're gonna waste them. It's gonna melt them. Literally, it's gonna just melt them. You're gonna be you're gonna have just a little plastic pool.
I
That
believe
will
this
be
is
all.
thinner.
Okay, well, we're gonna show you with this one. Of course, this is not enough to drown the miniature, but we're gonna show you how it works.
Let me get you unzoomed so we can
Yeah.
see you.
Thank you. Okay, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, little black fellow. Yeah, this is thinner for acrylic nails. I don't know if it works.
So what do we use now? You're putting it on. Do you like use a rag or something? Just rub it off?
Yep. Right now, that's what we're gonna use. I had a little paper over there, but I think I lost it.
Like a rag?
Yeah,
Or
something
tissue
like that.
paper?
A tissue paper. But
Tissue paper, right?
yeah, we can get that one.
I have some in the back here. I have my place is kind of a mess.
Yeah, but that helps because we have everything at hand. Wanna try to take this out. I don't think this
Hello,
works.
David. Welcome to the stream.
Nope, this is not gonna work. Next week I'm gonna get some thinner so you can see it. No, you primed it pretty well.
I did. I made sure the prime was on nice and. I made sure I covered the guide. He was completely covered because I wanted to start painting him.
Yep.
Because it was going to be for another stream. I bought this one because I had a halfling player halfling who was a child, and this looks just like
That's
a little
very nice.
boy.
And this is a
So-
pretty good miniature. I'm looking at the details. And as I was telling, do not worry. You can get this painted, even if it is not in white. Do not worry about that, because when you start painting it, you're gonna find all the details gonna pop up, and you're gonna just adjust to that. For this little piece, well, super glue is gonna be the solution to attach it to its hand.
Do you
Those
would you
kind
attach
of-
it right away while you're painting, before painting, or after painting, or when?
It depends.
Or
It
do
depends
I-
on the miniature.
Or should I screw it? Should I screw it to like a pin?
No, no, no. For this one,
It's too
it's
thin?
not. It's too thin. Yeah, it's not gonna support it. So it's not gonna take it. You can make the pin for the body because this is broader, but not for the hand. For the hand, I would recommend only the super glue.
Okay.
In the end, now remember, for this kind of miniatures, they are so tiny that we don't. I know we want to play with them. I know that we want to move it from one part to another, but they're still models. For example, in this case, once this is stick to the body, we're not gonna touch it. Not for that place, because it doesn't matter how good your cyanocrilato or cyanocrylate or super glue is. It doesn't matter. It's gonna fall apart because this is so tiny that you're just gonna break it and break it and break it. And if you use your super glue one over and over again, you just make a lump over there. So no, it's not gonna work. I know these are toys for for most of us. These are simple toys, lovely or simple toys, but we have to learn to, once this is painted, any one of these miniatures, for example this one that we already have, once this is painted, I'm not gonna touch it from here, or try not to touch it from here anymore. We're gonna try to learn to hold it over here.
That's a big party foul. I'm guilty of it quite a
No,
bit.
every one of us are. And something about the metal miniatures, they are harder to paint because for the plastic, once you apply the primer, it doesn't fall apart. It gets attached to the miniature pretty good because the primer normally is made of oil. so it gets a little bit attached to that miniature, sticky to that miniature. In this case, no. If a plastic miniature falls off the table, it hits, and normally it's just a scratch or a little.
It stays fine, but a
thing.
metal miniature is gonna snap and break in pieces.
Yeah, and you're talking about the paint, not the miniature. The miniature is gonna hold. Perhaps it's gonna bend, but the problem is that you're gonna get a chipping on the painting.
And the
And it's
metal, okay.
yeah, and it's not gonna be the first layer. It's gonna be all the layers out of the chipping of the miniature. That's why you're gonna try to hold them always from the base. Some of us are always do vases or tall vases, so you can hold it from that base. In this case, for a holder for this miniature, we're gonna get tack for next week also. The tack is not
We still have 1 hour, so
okay.
I'm thinking
We're gonna take that for
We should do the spray.
for the spray. Okay, that's gonna do.
but
we're
you
gonna
need to attach this first, don't you? So you can spray it on. So
yeah,
you don't get on your fingers.
indeed, but it's gonna be so hard to attach to it. So we're gonna use another can, and we're gonna use this one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna for this time only for this time. I'm gonna use super glue to attach that miniature, not super glue on all over the base. I'm gonna show you this on next week so you can see how it's done. I'm just gonna do it on some parts.
Make sure you're in the camera. You
Uh-huh.
can move the camera if you need to.
I have to adapt to the camera, and I'm gonna stick it to this little cap here
Oh, you're going to attach it to the cap of the.
of the can, of the painting can, and this is just enough so it doesn't
Make
move.
sure you're looking at this one and not that one.
Okay, now the problem here is that we're on a closed room. Josh is gonna help me holding the camera because we're not shoot this at the screen.
So actually, what I've found and I've gotten is a box. You could get a cardboard box
Uh-huh.
that has. Well, it's not good to have this spot here because I got this. I had this made. My girlfriend made this for holding my miniatures, but I think it's going to be better used for spraying miniatures.
Indeed.
And so you want to make sure there's a closed compartment and you can spray towards it into the compartments. So if you're in a closed space that has it's inside, you don't want to. Some people, of course, will use gas masks or they'll be in a well ventilated area. If you don't have that, you can use a box and spray it inwards. He's going to show you the best technique for spraying miniatures.
Mhm.
So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get this camera situated so you
Yes.
can spray it towards me, and I don't mind if you spray me a little bit.
No, you're not, but your screen perhaps. So we're gonna be so careful about it. So now we're gonna. Okay, thanks a lot.
So we're going to get this guy
No, don't worry.
situated so you
Okay.
should show exactly how you're spraying it.
Okay. We're gonna talk about the spraying. Normally, we're gonna try with this one.
1 second.
This is only white paintings, so we're gonna. Yeah, that right.
We're going to make him go backwards.
You sure you wanna do that way? I guess they can see it over there because I am afraid. I'm so frightened about.
Well, you're
stealing
going to
these
spray
cameras.
towards here, right?
Yeah, but this is gonna make a cloud. So I suggest that you hold this camera out. Take it out the table and put it away from
You can go underneath
the
table.
area. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because this is gonna make a cloud. It doesn't matter that
I'll
you
be
have
zooming right now.
a surface. Now, okay, you can see it from there.
Actually, I can't. I need to get.
Yeah, no, but they can see us over there. That's okay because we want to show them all the scene. The detail on the miniature is gonna be anything else. Okay, now we're gonna talk about this.
This real quick.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about. Indeed, I can hold it here. Do not worry, and I don't need both hands because we have the table, so it's gonna be nice. This about I don't know how you call them there. Now here in Mexico we call it a cuarta or a quarter, and we say that we measure them by cuartas or by quarters. So we're gonna try to do this. Normally I use this distance. Now I just know it. I use a bolt, but normally that's what I do. Don't do this at home. We're doing it so you can learn how to do this. But well,
Don't do it at home, spray.
yeah, no, not with the computer screen or the cameras, please. It's not pretty nice idea. We're gonna do it because we're almost done be professionals like that. So that is the distance, and now you just spray it and take little lines over and over. You don't keep it pressed.
Let me go ahead
This is
and
something that
into a
I'm gonna
camera
show
angle so you
them
can see.
what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna do like this. We're not gonna do. That's the cloud I
It's
was
okay, I
talking
can
about.
clean it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not gonna do that over there. We're gonna just like these little lines, and that's it. We're gonna cover all the miniature. I don't have to move it because I have the table here. Normally I take it in my hand. Some people use gloves for that. I normally have paint on
Let's
my.
try to get closer in here and spray towards here, okay?
Yeah, indeed.
Not here, down.
A little
If I
bit
need to
down.
flip it
Okay,
up
no, no.
over-
Yeah,
That's fine.
that right. That right. That will be right.
Because right now it's going everywhere and it doesn't have to be, because that's what this is for.
Okay. Indeed, normally I would recommend a closed box with only a hole on the rear part. So now I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna check the distance. As I said, I have it measured. Ready?
Mhm.
As you can see, I'm just covering it.
What happens if you get too close?
It's gonna make a blob on the miniature. As we say here, you don't want to drown your miniature in primer.
Right now I'm holding my breath because it actually is pretty heavy.
Okay, some important things to do. This is already covered.
So he's asking, do you use just spurts?
Yeah, just
Do you
little
hold it
bit.
down?
No,
Or do you
you
use
don't, no,
spurts?
just little spurts.
So if you notice his, the way he's doing, he's going like this
Yeah.
and just like this as he's turning it around, and he's making sure he doesn't get
I'm gonna
one
cover
area.
again this giant so you see it white as you wished, so they can see it again. I'm just doing these little lines. Once, just like that. And the other thing to do, and about taking care of your materials. Once you're finished, before the last layer, there's two details to take out. The first one is that we cover all the miniature from the top to the bottom. So it means that normally out here or down here, normally there are gaps that are not covered. Do I have to cover the miniature entirely? Not really. If you see just a tiny, thin layer of paint covering your miniature, that will be okay. Kinda like little fog or cinder. That will be okay. You don't have to drown it. I'm gonna cover here, but I'm gonna do something else that some people just don't care to do. If you don't do this, you're gonna block the bubble of your paint can. Normally you use this, okay, that's nice. But in the end, before the last layer, you're gonna take your can upside down. You're gonna
Upside down. Okay.
yeah, upside down. Okay, let me hold it right there. Okay. And you're just gonna apply the last layer upside down. Why? Not because of the miniature, because of your can. You have to keep it clean. How do I clean this stuff? The last layer, I'm gonna, you see now, I am not projecting any paint at all. That's only air. And that's how you clean it.
So you're tipping it upside down to not have paint come out, but just have air come
Air
out.
come out. So you
What-
can
What are you cleaning exactly?
the excess, because if you don't do it, you just block. I'm gonna show you because we have the material. I'm gonna spray it. Okay, that's paint
There you go.
coming out, and you can see how now to the can. Oh, there it is. It's almost blocked. So now, if I let it dry like that, there's gonna be painting on the duct, on the exit of this can. So now I'm gonna use the extra, but I don't wanna waste it, so I'm gonna apply it to a
Okay.
miniature, and we're gonna that's painting, that's painting, that's painting, but in the end, there's no more paint. There's only
Okay,
air.
so pretty much what if you need a recap of what he's doing right now
No?
with my crazy camera work, I'm so sorry if I'm giving you a headache. I'm doing my best not to. I'm trying to keep it as still as possible. But what he's saying is pretty much to clean your spray can, not to clean the spray can. Not he's not talking about the actual miniature itself,
No.
but to
It's
clean
about
the spray because you want to make
spray.
sure that the bottle is the nozzle. One second, I'm going to attach this so I stop moving so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
The nozzle. Let's go ahead and get this thing close up so you can see how we've gotten this thing, how we've got it primed now. And I'm just gonna have you rotate it once I get the focus right. Yep.
Yeah, you
It's
have
a
to clip,
beautiful model now. Look at this. You can see all the details have come out because of the prime.
and if you want to, you can use, as we did before, use a shade or a glaze to remark the details before painting. I don't recommend it because there's no need of this. If you prime with gray or white, all the details are coming out. So do not worry about that. But sometimes you're gonna want to prime in black. That is okay. It depends on what kind of miniatures you want to do. Because we're in a closed space, sometimes the light tricks us. That in life, when you're painting life, you're gonna find all the details well. Okay. Oh, thank you.
He's like
Thanks a
moving
lot.
across the
It was like
table.
okay. It was it wasn't it like a catwalk? Sorry. Okay. And also, you can notice some if there was any mold line that I didn't see before.
They will pop out at you.
Yeah, that's right.
So, do you have any questions? Those of you watching us, it looks like just ill actually right now. If you have any questions, let us know. So, just to go back over what he was talking about with the spray can, when you're using the spray, you should go thin spurts about this far away.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, about this far away, about a hand length away almost.
Yeah.
So about a hand length away, you should go this far away and just spray. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you spin it around, to rotate it around.
Yeah. If you
Now-
have this, you can just stop there, do it, and you can also do it horizontally. It depends on the miniature. It will depend on how
How big it is.
how big it is, the position of
The
this. Because
angles.
yeah, because if this would be a ship, it will be broader.
Right.
It will be better to do it horizontally. But the thing is that you have to try to cover it completely. You don't have to drown it. If you do it, you're gonna do massive covering, and you don't want that because if you do it, you're gonna lose some detail, and you don't want that because these are absolutely amazing miniatures. You don't want to lose those eyes, the nose, the lips. You're gonna find out that there's someone so good at sculpting that even got the smile or the fangs on some ladies. You're gonna, I think we're gonna have some vampires later on, and you're gonna have the teeth on it, the eyes on it, and you have to keep that for painting. So yeah.
So the reason why he tipped his can upside down is not because he's trying to clean the miniature, but because he's trying to clean the nozzle to make sure that the nozzle is
Don't get
clean and not obstructed.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to get smooth spray when you're painting the miniature. So he sits upside down to try to blow air out.
Yeah.
Not.
When you finish.
And I believe you said you still pointing at the miniature just to get a couple last things and get underneath the miniature as
Yeah,
well.
that's why, because this is a tiny little one. We talked about it before when we were cleaning it. It doesn't matter because you have all the space, so the primer went directly to it. But let's think about the giant. In this case, if we were priming the giant, okay, the primer is going to go all over. It's going to be okay. But the problem is underneath the giant, there's also, yes, not a lot of detail like in the rest of the miniature, but we're not covering all this stuff here under the legs. Yeah, that right. That there you can show it. Yeah, all this stuff.
So if you want to get the, you need to get that kind of that shot up the skirt. Really, sounds terrible. Up his kilt in this case. Make sure you're covering everything. Sometimes you need to do upside down to to make sure he's getting coverage even underneath that kilt.
And not really upside down, because you can just take the giant and just point the can towards the giant, but you can take advantage. Don't waste the paint. If you're gonna move it upside down and throw some paint out, well, use it. Just take advantage of that. Don't waste the material. Okay, so where do we want to go now before we run out of time?
All right. Well, we have 30 minutes left. Some of the things we talked about today for priming, we said we're going to prime and cut and cut. So first off, audience, do you have any questions? If you don't have questions, what I think I suggest doing is I'd like you to show me how to prime with paint.
Okay.
With the paint on, and we're gonna do it with this girl here because she's pretty smooth.
Yes.
She's a Reaper. Reaper's the one thing I like about Reapers, at least some of them, not all of them, but the ones that I
There are
have
some
so far,
pretty
they
good,
don't
yeah.
have a lot of seam lines, so she really does not need a lot of work. So she's literally ready to be primed.
Okay.
So we're going to use what? Just a brush.
In this case,
what
we're
kind
gonna-
of brush should we use, and what kind of brushes actually do we need? Let's actually go ahead. We have some brushes here, not the pencil.
Right now, no.
So we have a couple different brushes here. This brush came with the Learn to Paint kit, and for Reaper, and okay, go ahead, and I'm going to get the details here.
Yes.
Why don't we go ahead and can you move some of this stuff from behind here
Yes.
so we can see?
Yes,
Because
of
there's too much
Too much
stuff
of
happening
everything.
here.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this kit back there. I'm gonna move this out. I'm gonna take this belly here, and that's it. Okay. Is that okay?
Okay, so we have a couple different paint brushes, and you can see if you look closely at some of the brushes. I got a Virtuoso set, but I found that it's not the best set. I think because it has plastic hair, perhaps. But this has a label that says liner, and it says a 1 on it. What does that mean?
Okay.
There's a 1 on this one. This one says S1603 Rodent Acrylics, and obviously it's a bigger brush.
Okay.
And then I have one here that says 2/0.
Okay. We're gonna talk about that. And I think you have my brush set over there. We're gonna take it out.
Is it in the box?
somewhere. No. It's, or is it under there? Let me check. Mm-hmm. No, this is a tiny little one. Sorry about the mess. There it is. Could you please hand it over? Yes, that's right. Okay. Let's talk about brushes. What brushes do I need to start painting? Josh shows us some of the normals because that's the ones. Sorry, thanks. That's right. What do I need to start painting? Okay, I recommend to have 3 or 4 brushes for starting. Only with that. We don't need really the most of them. We don't need more in time. Where we're gonna get it. I'm gonna tell you about of course, running, because running supports us kindly, so kindly. And we're gonna get this, and this. Okay. And also I'm gonna tell you about the Citadel, which I have. Not because the ones that Josh has are wrong, but because this is a series and I can show you easier to do it with these ones. So now we have.
Where are you at?
Okay, I'm at the front, but I'm gonna show them just on the camera. Wow. For running, I would recommend to have these little fellows, and you have one of these here. Mine are really wasted, so sorry, because they didn't have the hairdo as normally they do. Normally, now we have the camera. Okay, here. Thank you. It depends on the miniature. There are measurements or sizes. For running, there are round brushes. Yeah, they're right. Thank you. That's it. Round brushes. We have a number 1 a 3-0, and a 10-0. What does it mean? It's fractions. The number one will be the main size of these ones, and we're going to use that for covering the miniature, applying the base layer. You don't have to have that number one on it. You just go, if this is big enough to cover, I don't know, take one part of the miniature, we're going to work with this one again. Okay, I'm going to take it out. This is as big as its head. That will be enough. If it's big as his head, you can cover all the miniature. You can see the comparison size against it. Oh, there's the garbage truck.
Yes.
That's nice. Yeah,
Garbage
that's
pail.
not the mail. Okay. That will be for our base layer. That will be only for it, and that will be good enough. We're gonna use this for prime with acrylic later on. After that, we have the 3-0, which would be a middle one. It's gonna be for mainly almost all the details. This is almost the size of a hand of the miniature. I'm gonna show it here.
Go up a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Well, I can
yeah,
move it.
all right. All right. This is almost the size of a hand. You can take it just as a
That's a
comparison
3/0. So
Yeah.
what do you use that for? Details?
Details for, let's call it
Highlights?
big details.
Highlights?
Yeah, you can use it for highlights. And we have a detail brush. This is a 10/0, 10/0, sorry. Yeah. And we're gonna use it for little details like the eyes and the teeth, everything like that, and edge highlights. Indeed, Josh here has an army painter, pretty good label. We're gonna show you the point of it.
Now I got the point. This army painter is for extreme details. It doesn't have a number on it, but I got
No.
it because I have a heck of a time painting eyes.
Indeed.
Now, if you can't afford a army painter or the extreme detail brushes, I just now got this one, and I still haven't used it yet. But what I was using first before that, I was using the point of a toothpick. I was using the point of a toothpick. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just dip it with a drop of paint to be able to paint the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing I hate. Most people, I think, hate eyes because it's really hard to get them straight, to get them right. So I use this little teeny tiny point of the toothpick to just dab right on the eye. But you have to make sure you get only one drop and
Yeah.
a tiny, tiny bit and dab it. If it was more than that, then what I'd use is I'd use a Q-tip wetted to quickly, if I was like, oh crap, I went over the lines,
Mm-hmm.
quickly wipe away that paint. But you have to be careful because I often found that the other paint underneath
Yes.
was still wet. You'd also wipe that away, and you'd have to repaint that too.
That's right. And also, indeed, you're gonna find that you can use also a needle for making the eyeballs. But indeed, the brushes are so good that you can use them to make the eyeballs with no problem. Of course, that's a lot of practice, but you can learn it. And that will be about the brushes you need. I also recommend to have one of these. These are flat brushes, and they also have their sizes. And this is a number one. I normally have from running the number one and the number three. This is for dry brushing or for applying long or biggest layers of paint. So I recommend those four numbers. As I said before, some labels don't have the number on it. Normally, if you're looking for them in the modelism stores, you're gonna find them by names. It depends on the label. Citadel has it as a base coat, a big base coat, a small base coat, detail brush, insane detail brush. It depends on them. But normally you're gonna find it like that, as a 1, 3-0, 10-0, and a flat one. It doesn't matter how much. And for washes, you can use the number 1. So now we're gonna apply for this little lady. Are we sure that we have all the?
That's actually not a seam line. This is part
This is part of the assemble.
of
Yeah.
the model, or the assembly.
Yeah, the
so
assemble.
it's not a seam line that we really can control. I think what we're going to have to do for the back part here is add the putty. Should we
little
do
bit.
that now?
You want it
So
to
before
yeah,
you prime,
okay.
or should we do that when?
It has to be before the prime.
Okay, can you show me how to do it? Because I've never used putty.
Okay,
On a
we're gonna
miniature.
use that one if you want to. We can use also this one. Do not worry. But it is as I said, this is for repairments on the at home. So well, you can use it. It's not pretty good.
But this
Well,
is
we're gonna
actually
look at
almost
it.
dry. Is that bad?
Normally it is because this is hard. And let me check, just in case.
I'm trying to get it off. I can't get it out.
Okay, let me check. In those cases, we're gonna try to use the green stuff that you wanted to use before. But we can use this one. Do not worry.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay. And here's the brown part of the putty, which is stickier, it seems.
Yeah.
It's in a baggie.
Okay. So we're gonna use again. We're gonna use take this little part here.
She
Where's
can't
the
stick
camera?
as yet. The camera's over here.
Okay. Oh, that's what I was confused. I was at the other camera. That's all I'm gonna use from this part, and the same amount of putty from the other part. So now we have it here. Thank you. We're just gonna take that.
Would you like me to
little-
put the camera back where it was before?
Yeah,
Would that be easier for you?
that will be easier for both
Okay,
of
give
us.
me 1 second. I'm going to change cameras again.
Oh, there it is. I'm gonna take the wire out, and I'm gonna take this little baby here, and this is it. Or was it here?
Doesn't matter.
Just move it around. Okay. And oh,
You can't see it right now.
no, pero yo para ver.
I've
que
taken it out.
I
Yeah.
don't
There we
want
go.
to- Okay, yeah. On here and here. Okay, yeah. A little bit more. Yeah, to the left. Yeah, right. So I'm mixing them up like we used to do it before. We're just gonna
I think
apply.
you probably wanted to go back further.
Yeah, indeed. That will be great. Thank you.
So now you have space to work.
Yeah, I'm doing strips again and again and again. I'm making a stripe. I'm turn it into a ball. Again, a stripe.
So he's making a small. What he's doing is, I've
Mixing.
heard it described. He's making a small little pill.
Yeah.
He's making a little pill with the thing. Can you go and show him in your hand? Does it change color?
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, it has to change color.
So what
In this
color
case,
does it
this
change
is
to?
almost gray because that is the main part of
The
of
main
the body.
ingredient.
Yeah, indeed. But you can see it, and you have to get it uniform.
Should you use Vaseline to make sure it's smoother and works well better, or not?
No, not red this time because if I cover it in Vaseline, it's not gonna attach to the model.
That's a good point.
But what we can do, that's why we use normally water. So we're gonna, you want to get rid of this line, right? You want to fill the gap. We're gonna take just a little bit of it. I'm gonna take this little the belly of the spider, and I'm just gonna try to apply a little bit of this. As I said, this is not gonna be sticky at all. We're gonna show you because you're most of you are gonna get the green stuff. We still have the green stuff. I like to
I
show
do have
them
green
what-
stuff. Should we glue the two pieces together?
You cool. You want you don't want to open this up anywhere anymore, right? Yeah, we should glue it. We're gonna use the super glue. Could you meanwhile mix a little bit, just a little bit, so you already saw how much we use.
Yep, I know how to do this one. Been using it for the modeling class.
Okay, oh yeah. For the ones that you don't really know yet, but I think that you do, Josh was into sculpting before.
Well, actually, I just started taking a sculpting class to sculpt my
Again.
own miniatures.
Yeah, again. But he
This
already
is-
made
this
some.
Is too much.
That is too much. Show them how is too much.
This is too much. Too much. It needs to be smaller. So I'm going
Yeah.
to take half of that.
The third of that. The third of that because you're gonna add the same amount of the yellow, and that's gonna be bigger. I know, but you get used to it. Trust me, you're gonna get used to it.
I always get told I'm getting too much from my modeling teacher too. He's like, "No, what are you doing?" Because Well, I always want to grab more than I need. I guess I'm always trying to like be prepared for the worst, like
Indeed.
grabbing.
No, and we all do, but we get used to it. That's perfect. Josh already gave me this one, so we're gonna mix it up. Meanwhile, the super glue is super fast to dry, so not worry. We're gonna use the green stuff because it's gonna be noticed even better on the miniature. Now we're gonna see how that yellow and blue is gonna turn into a solid green. Meanwhile, Josh is gonna show you how that primer got dry into the arm of the giant, and also,
Before you do that, I'm gonna try to.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna try to. Oh, it's already on there, isn't it?
yeah, that's right.
So we have to take it off again because we haven't finished.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you just wanted to show you. All the files are here. The other tools are here, and if you want to use the mold line,
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
okay, that's right. Okay, so now I am applying this to the model, and you're gonna say, yeah, well, that's a lot of extra material. Indeed, I'm just using just a little bit. And how do I get rid of it? Well, in your case, if you still don't have the tools, you can use a little spoon. Yeah, just what you heard, a little spoon. If you don't have a tiny little spoon, you're gonna use your hobby knife or your X-Acto blade.
Like a teaspoon.
You're gonna get this wet, and once this is wet, of course, you get rid of the water excess, and you're gonna press it against the material and try to flatten out. We don't use the Vaseline yet because, as I said, Vaseline is okay when you're sculpting, so your hands don't get sticky with the material. That will be it. Now, that is if you don't have the tools yet. Normally, I would recommend to have one of these. This is a lancetta, a little spear kind of thing.
So it's
this
pretty much
is
a small
tool.
sculpting knife.
It's a sculpting tool or sculpting knife. We call it a lancetta, something kind of like a spear
That makes
kind of
no
thing.
sense to me in English.
In English, yeah. But that's how they call it in the art.
So I believe it's a shaping
story.
tool, a knife with a shaping tool. But let's make sure we're getting
Yeah,
in the camera here.
you're gonna find it like a sculpting tool in Citadel and Vallejo, so do not worry about it. Now, you're gonna see how it gets a little blur over there. I'm gonna try to show it to the camera. Because this is wet, I can slide it really good against the miniature and really flatten out. I'm gonna fill the gaps and I'm gonna get that, how do you call it, a smish, blur, I don't know in English,
How to do what?
that little fade away when you,
So you try and blend.
you try to blend it with the miniature. If there's a lot, you're gonna take out the excess with the blade, but as we put just a little bit of it, it's gonna just fill the gap. You can use it for other miniatures in the assembly. And once it's dry, you can file it again and take out all the excess. If there's some lines or something that you don't like, you can take that. We're doing this into a rush because we want to show you. Normally, this will be a 2 days work.
2 days to
Yeah.
prepare a miniature?
Yeah, indeed.
How many
But
hours? How
normally-
many hours are you talking?
About the problem with this is that it has to get dry, and it's gonna take about 4 or 6 hours So normally that's what I was talking the last session. Normally I recommend to work with 3 or 4 miniatures, and for example, these kind of things are the last things that you do. That's why we are doing it right now, because we're gonna close with this one. You're gonna see it, and after we're gonna wait until it's dry, and we're gonna apply the primer. We're gonna apply the primer to this part because we don't have to do any of this
It's ready
gap
to be
filling.
painted.
Yeah, that's right. But for this one, we're gonna wait. Just to, as I said, this is because we want to show you how to do it. So in this case, I'm gonna try to show it to the camera. You can see the blending, and I'm gonna try to fill it up all around. If I was working with this one, I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna put the arm on this giant and fill the gap and everything like that. So those 2 pieces, and also this little lady on the base, and this in these gaps, we're gonna fill it, and everything is gonna be dry for next week. That's where we're closing with that one. And also, you can see that I already applied this. I already covered. I don't know. What do you What do you think? The fifth part, the fourth part of this, and I also have all this stuff. This is gonna be enough to cover almost the half of the miniature.
Okay.
So
We are coming up to the very end. We only got 4 viewers today, so we didn't quite reach 15 viewers or the 10 subscribers required for the giveaway. So that giveaway is going to have to come for the next time, unless by some miracle somebody starts gifting or somebody comes in and raids us and starts subscribing. Because that's the requirement from the sponsors. They like to see that we have viewers, and when we have viewers, they reward us with giveaways.
indeed, they reward you.
Yeah, pretty much they reward the viewers.
The viewers, yeah, I mean, not you, the viewers.
And that's for them. It's important that we have as many viewers as possible because that means their product is getting showed. That's just pretty much how that works. But I really hope you guys learned a lot today by watching us. And if you have any questions, let us know before the stream or in the comments. I will be checking them for next week's stream to cover whatever you feel like could be covered better, more, or could be covered better. If you have any questions, let us know.
Yes,
Now,
please.
let's go ahead and start working on priming this girl's torso.
Okay, we're gonna do something a little bit weird.
Uh-oh.
Normally, this will go straight ahead for the girl. Yeah, that's it. I get it. Yeah. This product goes just straight. And what's the difference between the primer? You can see why he'll always have paint on his hands.
You're really close to the camera, so you can go ahead and get down to that, and you'll be able to
Yeah,
see
okay.
it, I think.
This one. Okay, yeah, this one. Normally this goes straight ahead. Don't worry about it. Because I'm gonna work in front of it. I'm just pouring the painting here. Okay, this is acrylic primer. What is the difference between the primer and the regular paint? The difference is about the attachment that the paint has with the miniature. This is a pigment so strong that it can attach to the miniature directly. Normally Josh will use, let's use Josh's way. I'm gonna take some water with the syringe. Sorry that I get in front of the camera. And I'm gonna use about half and half with the primer. In this case, this is black primer. I'm gonna do something not so conventional, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna mix it with white.
Why
So,
are you doing that? If you
to
want it
make
to be black.
to create gray.
Okay, I haven't thought about that.
White gray, because we want to see we want you to see the details on this material.
I did notice whenever I've used a black primer, it takes out all the. I have a hard time painting them because I can't see the details. So this
Yeah.
is a great idea.
Yeah, because you have already the primer, so it doesn't matter. The secret here it will be to water it down
Now, if you just want black, you just cover it in black. Of course, he prefers gray, and I do too, because you can see the details.
In this case, because of you, fellows on the camera, because so you can see it, so you can appreciate what we're doing. Okay, so let me check. Let me try to mix it out. This is not gonna be a clear gray, but it's gonna help to watch the details. Indeed, what I did here is a lot of paint, but I mean it, a lot of paint. So if you want to prime something else,
That's a lot, yeah, wow.
that would be pretty good. So now we just, how do I know that it is okay? Well, I'm gonna try a little line here. It has to look a little milky somehow. And I'm gonna start applying it to the miniature. Just like that. We're gonna just cover the miniature. Yeah, you can see me there. That's right. Now you're gonna get some translucent parts. Do not worry about it. And that's what I wanted to show you. In this smooth parts, you're gonna see how the miniature repels. You can see there underneath the head that white. Yeah, that white stain is not the reflection of light. That is because of the white beneath. The primer is rejecting the primer itself. Do not worry, do not try to cover it. Just let it go, continue, and when it gets dry,
Do it again, another layer.
yeah, that's why we watered it down.
Why would you water primer down though? Primer is supposed to be big. It's supposed to be thick.
Yeah,
cover,
but
right?
yeah, but not that thick. As I said, as the same as with the can, we don't want to cover all the details or to take out the details. If you use one layer after another, you're just gonna make a broad, a broad layer of primer of paintings, and you're gonna make blobs into the eye sockets, into the between the fingers. You're gonna lose detail. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, we have to water down the primer. In this case, because we prepare the primer. In the primer cans, it's already watered or thinned down. In the case of oils. So you don't want that to happen to your miniatures. If there's any doubt, we're gonna be assembling the miniatures. We're gonna make the paintings. So if there's any doubt, yeah, check it out for the next week. Tell us about it. I don't know. We're broadcasting also on YouTube.
Yeah, this will be on VOD on YouTube by later this week. I'll be posting these on YouTube. So with a little bit edited, of course, but showing on YouTube. But I think within the next week before the next show comes on. So what do you think we should work on next for next week?
Well, next week we're giving you all this time. We already announced that we're gonna work on this giant, on this frost giant from WizKids. So if any one of you want to get it and want to learn about it, I don't know. We're gonna try to paint it in two different styles. In this case, Josh is gonna work with me. I'm gonna try to advance on it as fast as I can to get it done. And you can ask us about the process in between. If you want to get some effects, something like that, we will be glad to answer your questions. In this case, Josh is thinking about the colors. I recommend Josh in the first sessions to visualize what do you want for your miniature. For in this case, the eggs are golden, or they have all silver. Are they frozen blue? Sorry, or the eyes of the giant are normal ones. They're glowing in blue, glowing in green. What color is the skin? Is this a little purple gray. This
How do
is
you decide that? I'm color blind, color stupid, really. Not blind, but just color stupid. I don't get colors. I never really learned color theory. I heard I probably have to start practicing with the basic RBYN or whatever it's called to figure out how they mix because I have a hard time making new colors by mixing.
well.
But for example, I don't get the colors that I want when I'm trying to get the colors that I want. Um, so in my case, I guess it's just going to be a lot of practice. But
Indeed.
for somebody who's new, I mean, what do you recommend?
Well, we're gonna talk about paintings also. I recommend to have the project visualized in the for the beginning. For example, for this frost giant, you can get some inspiration from internet, from books, from movies,
From other painters.
from other painters, of course. There's a lot of talent out there. In this case, you can see a comic book, a Thor comic book, for example. You can see the Jotun, which are the frost giants. If you play the Age of Mythology or something like that, if you play World of Warcraft, there's also bluish giants. You can take all that information or inspiration, and you don't have to emulate it exactly. It's just inspiration. And remember, we're showing you how to accomplish the painting. But if you want to get real good at the painting or get exactly the same results that you're looking at a screen or a photograph or a picture, anything like that, there's practice. There's no shortcuts. There are a lot of materials that can help you to get some shortcuts. For example, the the colors. If you're not good at mixing colors in the beginning, do not worry. Most of the labels have about 100 colors or more to choose, and tones and semitones. Do not worry about it. It's better to get the tones between than to produce them. Those are the shortcuts that you can get. The shades or the washes are shortcuts that you can get, but shortcuts about painting or shortcuts about performing your paintings, no, those doesn't exist. I can show you how to get, and I'm gonna show you how to get miniatures painting so fast for your role-playing games. That will help, but in time you're gonna get so good with practice that you're gonna get you will want to get even better details on them. So
I know
don't
for my
get
miniatures,
eager.
I want a lot of details, even if they're just for tabletop. Just because, well, I invest a lot of money into miniatures, so I want to make
Indeed.
sure that I want to make them be pieces of art.
Indeed, and in time you're gonna get it. But as we said, you have to get a lot of practice and a lot of patience on it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
This has so many mold lines.
Indeed, and that is the problem with the pre-primed miniatures. Yes, they are pre-primed, so they should be ready to paint and just go on. Unfortunately, that is not the truth. And unfortunately, you get a lot of mold lines, and you have to get rid of them. You can paint straight ahead to the model after that. Yeah, you can do it because normally those gaps are not so big that you cannot cover them with the paint, and it's gonna work just fine. But if you can, or you get one of these primers, acrylic primers, do it. Use them. They're gonna help. You're gonna get better results than just painting right away.
All right. So with that said,
Mhm.
guys, pretty much, I'm just going to tell you guys that it's probably going to be time to get going now. We are coming to our. Well, we just got a few more minutes. I want to thank you for coming to the show. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you'd like to see, any changes or anything like that, we're starting a new show. This is the new experiment of streaming to see how we can help people, whether pastry other painters, and how we can provide quality entertainment as well as educational entertainment to be fun and where you can learn something about that you didn't know before. Myself, I'm brand new into painting miniatures. I've only painted about 5 miniatures in my life. And I used the Begin to Paint kit by Reaper Miniatures. And I'm sure that there's going to be people at different levels. We're going to be covering from beginning to advanced tips with Hill. So as we continue with this, with the bigger miniature here, we're going to be using the bigger one because it's easier to see details. And it's easier to see how we can get those things. But later on, we're going to continue working with the Zealot miniatures. In about a month or two, we'll be receiving Atlantis miniatures from Atlantis Minis. And they are also extremely detailed miniatures that we're going to begin painting. And those will be used for giveaways to give to you guys. So I really hope you enjoyed today's show. And it's going to be I guess it's pretty much all I have to do is it's time to say goodbye. Unless there's something other last tip you'd like to throw out to people besides not drinking the paint.
Okay, yeah, no, please don't do it. No, that will be it. Indeed, I think we covered all we have here for today. Indeed, we're waiting for your questions, recommendations, and if you want me to repeat something about the painting, of course, it is not about my language because that's why Josh is helping me here. Please go ahead. Just go ahead and ask for it. We're gonna advance little by little. As we said, this is a patience job, but believe me, trust me, it's gonna work it.
So for class 2, I'm gonna finish preparing this one, getting off all the mold lines, so you don't have to just watch me do that the whole time, unless you'd like to, of course. I'm gonna get off all these mold lines, and I'm gonna reprime this because actually, for me, I don't like having scratch marks or anything else. Repriming it will get rid of those, as far as I know, and will make it look like it's a solid piece of primed miniature. We're going to do that off stream. Next week, what are we going to start with our lesson 2? What's going to be the basics of how to start painting this giant?
Okay, for this giant, in my case, I'm gonna do a blue-gray skin tone, and I'm gonna use silver and brown for the clothes. So we're gonna start with base coats. For this giant, we're gonna use the base colors.
You can put them over there because I can't see.
I think, well,
you can put them down here
you can
because he's huge.
you can tell us about your suggestions for these ones.
Yeah, if you guys would like to give suggestions on what to color this bad boy, especially for the clothes, I think I'm going to go for a bluish skin tone because he is a frost giant after all. But if you'd have some suggestions for how to paint the clothes, I will take suggestions from you guys gladly. Go ahead and give your input. Tell us what you think, what you'd like to see. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. The purpose of this, I'm gonna get this one for next week. The purpose is that if you have any questions, you don't have to get this giant precisely. If you have another giant, the lesson is gonna be the same. We're gonna take almost all the lesson or half the lesson, half the time to this giant. I'm gonna advance as fast as I can in that time. Josh is gonna follow with the lesson, and in between we're gonna answer your questions or your recommendations. So yeah, just go ahead. Next time we're just gonna apply the base colors. Don't get eager or desperate about it because you're not gonna see the advance. I don't know, in 2 lessons we're gonna have it almost finished.
Alright, so to know about the future streams that we have coming up, let's go ahead and just keep him here so they have something to look at.
Yeah, so they have something pretty to look on.
Yeah. Pretty much what we're going to be doing now, my stream's coming up this week. We have a couple new streams coming up. Today from 5 to 7 p.m. I will be streaming a video game variety. I haven't decided which game I'm going to stream yet. It's probably going to be BioShock again. But I've already pretty much I had to start over with him because I started on hard version and I got myself in a big bind. But our next stream is going to be, let's see here. I don't think we have a stream on Tuesday. I need to make this bigger so I can see what we got here. Tomorrow, I don't believe we have any streams at all. I'm just going to be spending my time planning and preparing the campaigns that I have coming in 2 weeks. Not Another TPK, as well as the Greyhawk campaign on the Greyhawk channel. So I'll be planning those all day tomorrow. On Wednesday, we'll be doing a Stars Without Number, a new show called Stars Without Number, and the name of the show is called, what is it? Sectors Unexplored.
Mm.
And that is going to be a really cool show. We have a great cast. I'm going to be one of the players, and we'll have Hector, also known as Blue Flame. He is the dungeon master. Now, on Thursday, I will be doing a guest appearance on the Stratus channel as a player for one of his one shots, and that will be from, what time is that there? 11 to 3, 11:40 to 3 p.m. And then I'll do another painting stream later that day from 3 to 5 p.m. where I'll be continuing working on the Frost Giant and preparing all these miniatures for painting, as well as working on painting some of my own miniatures. Mm-hmm. And that will be our stream schedule for the week. So I really hope you guys can stop by again, either on Wednesday or Thursday, or later tonight. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. I really like this guy.
Yeah, I think he's a great one too. He's just really beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't wait to put him on my tabletop.
Please. He's so messy.